What's up everyone, how are you all? Today we are back with another blazing Naruto story. What if Naruto entered the women's onsen and couldn't escape the steam of desire? If you enjoy, then please like, share and do comments. And also check the description to original creator of this beautiful creation. The young Uzumaki boy watched curiously as his mother once again embraced his father. It was a scene that played out almost daily, and it never ceased to amuse him. Every day she would hug him, once when he was leaving for work and once when he was returning from it. She would then stand on her toes and give her husband a soft kiss on the base of his neck, which would cause him to bend down and plant a big one on her lips, which usually lasted longer when he was returning. The young boy would usually intervene at that point, commanding some attention from his doting parents, but not before observing how odd and downright funny the whole thing looked. His father seemed huge, almost gigantic, in comparison to his mother's small petite figure. Her hands could just barely wrap themselves around him, and he always seemed to rest his head on top of hers as she held him and rested her head on his chest. It was a very odd image indeed. His parents looked happy though. Still, he had to ask, "Mom, does it bother you that Daddy is so much taller than you?" "Not at all," replied his dear mother. "I am rather thankful for this, in fact." "Why are you thankful?" His mom smiled softly as she looked at him. "Because the way I am now, whenever I hug your father, I can very easily place my ear on his chest and listen to his heart beating." "And why is it so important for you to listen to his heartbeat?" His mother took a deep breath. "Because to your mother, the sound of your father's heartbeat is the most comforting and beautiful sound in the world." The little Uzumaki snorted as he suppressed a laugh. "You know, Mom, you are really weird. But I still love you." She placed her arms around him and softly placed a kiss on his forehead. "Mommy loves you too. You finished your breakfast, right? Yeah, why don't you go outside and play for a while? Mommy will join you after she does the dishes." "Okay, Mom." She watched her little boy run outside and picked up his plates. She put them on the sink, turned on the faucet and started scrubbing as discreetly and delicately as she could. She didn't want her little boy to watch her crying. How could she explain this to her 5-year-old son? She liked her difference in height with her husband, because it made it easier for her to listen her husband's heartbeat. And the sound of his beating heart was something incredibly precious to her, something that comforted her, something that she always longed to hear. Because a long time ago, with her very own eyes, she actually saw it stop. She still remembered that terrible day. The day when the world almost ended. The day when her cousin gave up his life in order to protect them. Those feelings of pain and loss as she saw him draw his final breath. Then those feelings of helplessness and desperation as she saw the body of the man she loved also lie down nearly lifeless. His heart's beat slowing down until it eventually came to a halt. She wiped her tears, cleaned her hands and placed her hand on her chest. She closed her eyes and focused on the sound of her own heart beating. Come to think of it, her heart also stopped beating once. On the day when she decided to adopt his Nindo as her own, when her husband's words gave her courage and she stood up to her cousin for the first time. When she finally started to believe in herself and change towards becoming a stronger person. She had nearly died on that day. It was her husband's voice that brought her back, and the warmth of his hand as she held hers for the very first time. Her soft smile slowly returned to her lips. She was actually taller than him back then, wasn't she? She wiped her hands on her apron and turned to look at the young boy that was currently running around playing ninja in the house living room. She wondered how much taller than her he would eventually grow up to be. December 6th? What's so special about December 6th? That's the question that kept going through his head as he held his girlfriend's hand and walked with her through the snowy forest. He knew it wasn't her birthday, that was on December 27th, and he knew it wasn't the day they shared their first kiss, that was January the 3rd. It most certainly wasn't his birthday, that was October 10th. And yet, she told him that December 6th was a very special day to her. So what the heck was it that happened on that day? Was December the 6th the day when she called him a proud failure? The day when his heart skipped a bit for the first time and he told her that she was weird? And that he liked her? No, it couldn't have been it. Chunin exams usually took place in summer and he clearly remembered the heat of the sun on his face as he walked towards the stadium. So that day wasn't December 6th. Was it the day she had first professed her love for him? He had tried to push that day in the back of his memory, but it kept crawling back at him when he least expected it. There were times when he would spend some time with her, enjoying her company, feeling the warmth of her body against his, being the happiest man in the world. And then the memory of that day would suddenly hit him, reminding him of how he had almost lost her. He didn't remember the exact date of that day. It didn't really matter to him. But he remembered the pain, he remembered the desperation, he remembered the relief he felt when he found out she was still alive, and he remembered tracking the enemy inside a forest that was in full spring bloom. So this day wasn't December 6th either. He squeezed her hand tighter. She smiled at him and blushed. He always loved it when she did that. He couldn't believe that this wonderful woman that was currently walking by his side was really his girlfriend. It made him incredibly nervous. This meant he was her boyfriend, right? And that book that Sai gave him said that a good boyfriend was supposed to always remember all the important dates that define a relationship, birthdays, first kiss, first date, etc., without her having to remind him. So for the past few hours he was trying to figure out what the heck was so special about December 6th. He played back every single memory he had with her, trying to work out its significance, but he would come up with nothing. Every memory he came up with her would either be in a different season, a different month, or a different date. For the life of him, he couldn't remember what happened on December 6th. Does this mean that he is a bad boyfriend? He would have to apologize to her later. He turned his eyes towards her and took a closer look at her face. She had a dreamy look in her eyes and a bright warm smile on her lips. The way her cheeks blushed and the snow glittered on her black hair, she looked absolutely beautiful. He wanted to kiss her so bad. But he also wanted to find out what she had in mind for today. And why it was so special to her. The young couple walked for a few more minutes, going a bit deeper in the snowy forest. Eventually they came across an old worn lonely swing. This is the place. Naruto recognized the swing as the one he had spent a large part of his lonely childhood on. Back when he was the village pariah and wondered why everybody avoided him and refused to even acknowledge his existence. Everybody except her, but he didn't find out about this until much later. He recognized the swing. A lot of lonely, painful memories were associated with it. He just didn't understand what December 6th had to do with it. Hinata took out a package that she was carrying with her up until that moment. "This is for you." A large smile formed on his face when she unwrapped the package and saw what she was holding, a really lengthy red scarf. "So you finally completed it?" She wrapped the scarf carefully around his neck, bringing her face closer to his. He felt a jolt of electricity as her fingers softly touched his skin. They've been together for almost a year now, and he still couldn't get used to the way her touch made him feel. "What's wrong, Naruto-kun? It must be the static," he said as his grin grew wider. "That's odd. I didn't feel anything." "Oh really?" He put his arms around her and embraced her. He always enjoyed how she fitted perfectly inside his hug, her face just below his chin, allowing him to fully envelop her and fully feel the warmth of her body against his. He caressed her hair and softly rubbed her cheeks. He could feel her trembling as his fingers slid on her velvety skin. He lowered his face and brought it closer to hers. For a brief moment their lips rubbed against each other. She felt shivers go down her whole body and she jumped back. "Do you feel the static now?" She let out a soft chuckle and playfully hit his chest. "Yes, I do," she quipped. "How does it feel? It's not itchy or anything, right?" Naruto took a moment to fully appreciate the gift that Hinata gave him. It felt warm against his neck, fully insulating him from the cold. The needlework was impeccable and it felt soft and comfortable around him. It was really long too. Despite the fact that his neck was fully covered, a large part of the scarf was still dangling downwards. A scarf like this must have taken a long time to make. He could practically feel the effort, the sheer depth of the emotions she knitted into it. "It feels good. More than good, in fact." Thanks." Her smile grew even wider as she sighed in relief. "I am glad. The truth is I kind of rushed it. I really wanted to give this to you today." Naruto took a deep breath and braced himself. He hoped that Hinata wouldn't feel offended for not remembering what happened on that day. "You know, I've been meaning to ask you this. Why today? What's so special about December 6th? Hinata took a step backwards and looked at the snow. Her smile was still there, but Naruto could see that she was hiding a lot of pain underneath it. "December 6th was a really painful day for me. It was a week after my kidnap attempt, and a month after my mother had died. My father took me to the dojo and attempted to train me in the ways of the gentle fist for the first time. I couldn't pick up anything he demonstrated and as a result got pretty beat up." He told me that I was weak and to get out of his sight. Naruto got up from behind her and placed his arms around her waist in an attempt to comfort her. He had known that Hinata didn't exactly have the happiest of childhoods, but he never imagined that it was this bad. True, his childhood wasn't sunshine and roses either. He was shunned by the entire village for being the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki, but at least he didn't have to get beaten up and degraded on a daily basis by those who were supposed to love you and protect you. As I went back to my room, I bumped into Neji. He had a look on his eyes that I had never seen up until that point. It was full of pain, full of hate, full of resentment. And it was directed towards me. Tears were beginning to flow on her eyes. He wanted to wipe the tears off her face, but he knew that this was one of those moments when Hinata needed to let her feelings out. He told me that I was responsible for his father's death. That I was worthless, that I was a burden, and that I should just disappear. He could feel her shivering around his arms. And so I did. I dressed up and wandered around the snowy woods, wondering if my life had any worth. Wondering if I should go on living. Wondering if the world would be a much better place without me in it. And then it happened. What happened? A bunch of boys saw me wandering alone and they came up to me. They told me that I was a monster because of my eyes. That I didn't belong in this world. He held her tighter. It pained him to see her like this. That was the straw that broke my back. I just couldn't take it anymore. I broke down and cried. The kids just pointed at me and laughed. A feeling of despair came over me. I felt like I couldn't go on living anymore. And then, a boy showed up wearing a red scarf. He told them to stop picking on me and he challenged the kids to a fight. Did he win? No, his girlfriend said, and she let out a light laugh amidst her tears. He lost pretty badly. He got knocked down with just one punch. And his red scarf was then taken by the kids and torn to shreds. The smile remained on her face as she started to wipe her tears and compose herself. Naruto noticed that it was beginning to get warmer. But I really appreciated it, you know? That boy that I hardly knew just showed up and stood up for me, a complete stranger, when everyone, even my own family, put me down. Naruto looked at the expression she had. It was a mix of nostalgia and happiness. Whoever that boy was, he must have made quite an impression on her. She blushed as she talked about him. He couldn't help but feel a pang of jealousy. He thought that he was the only one who ever made her blush like this. When he got up, he told me that it didn't matter that his scarf was torn to shreds. He just smiled at me. That smile felt warm and bright like the sun. It made all my problems melt away. My heart skipped a beat and I held his torn scarf tighter as he left. It was the first time I ever fell in love. Naruto felt like a Chidori went through his chest. He might have been her boyfriend now and he knows he shouldn't feel this way, but the fact that he wasn't Hinata's first love still hurt. He wondered who that boy could be. It was the only time I fell in love. His smile saved me. Huh? Hinata turned around and placed her hands on his face. She had a look full of love and longing as she softly touched the spikes on his hair and caressed the whiskers on his cheeks. I still remember his face, bright as the sun, and his eyes blue as the sky. That boy's name was Uzumaki Naruto. Say what? Naruto could only stand there dumbfounded. Me? Yes, you. Can't you remember? A shot of a long-lost memory flashed before his eyes. He did remember that day. But not the way she remembered it. He recalled a beautiful girl getting shunned by the kids that also shunned him. He recalled seeing the girl in pain and how much it hurt his heart to see her cry. He recalled an embarrassing defeat when he challenged the kids. He recalled her thanking him as he waved her goodbye. He recalled being ashamed of his weakness. He recalled crying alone in the dark when he was a safe distance away. He recalled vying to himself to become stronger and train, just like he always did. To Hinata this really seemed like a special day, but to him it was just another day when he messed up and embarrassed himself. No wonder he couldn't recall it before now. I think I remember that day too now. I am actually quite ashamed of it. Why? I acted like an idiot like I always used to do back in those days. I don't recall saving anyone. I recall getting beat up for biting more than I could chew. I was weak and stupid back then. Hinata pulled his face and brought it closer to hers. Her expression was stern and serious. You weren't weak, and you weren't stupid, even back then, you hear me? It takes a huge amount of character and moral courage to stand up for somebody you don't know. To do what's right even when you know you are probably going to get beaten down for it. You might not have had the physical strength or the skills to back it all up, but you still stood up for what you believed was right. But no, buds. Yes, you got beat up pretty badly back then, but you were still stronger than all those kids combined. You had an inner strength and determination that they lacked. You had the power to stand up on your own and keep going whenever you were knocked down. You were a proud failure, he inquired. Yes, she told him as her face lit up once more. And I fell in love with you for it. She placed her palms on his and looked him in the eyes once more. Today is the day when I first met you. And so, I wanted to make you the scarf that you lost on that day, give it back to you and tell you what I couldn't tell you back then. She took a deep breath and steeled herself. This was clearly something she had practiced doing beforehand. Thank you for protecting me. Thank you for standing up for me. Your courage inspired me. Your smile saved me. And even after all this time, I am still in love with you. With the person you were back then, and the person you still are now. A single tear escaped from his eyes as he felt his heart overflow with warmth and joy. He placed his hands on her cheeks and moved his face closer. His smile at that moment made her heart scream. It was exactly like that smile he had when he first met her, when he saved her. But with his current adult features, it became something that captivated her, that drove her senses into overdrive. You know, there's something that I also wanted to tell you back on that day. What did you want to tell me? She whimpered as she felt his warm breath on her lips. I don't care what those boys say. Your eyes are beautiful. Their lips connected and she melted into his embrace. Thank you, he said as he deepened their kiss. For loving me all this time. For caring for me, for not giving up on me. Quote, passion overtook them and they both got lost in each other. They both lied down on the snow, ignoring the cold and relishing in each other's warmth. They expressed their love touching and caressing one another without a single care in the world. It was a perfect moment of pure love. Achoo, up until Hinata sneezed and clocked Naruto right on the nose. Ow, ow, ow. That hurt. Quote, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to. Naruto couldn't help but smile at his girlfriend's panicked expression. He thought it was incredibly cute. It made his pain go away in an instant. He straightened his nose and brought his hand on her face once more. No, it's my fault. I got so caught up in reminiscing and wanting to kiss you that it didn't occur to me that you might be feeling cold. A grin formed on his face. I have an idea. Here, he wrapped the dangling part of her scarf around her neck and brought her face close to his once more. Now we are both covered, right? He fondled her lips once more. Happy anniversary Hinata, happy anniversary Naruto, AFTERSTORY. Whatever happened to the bullies? Ichigo, Nimaru and Sansuke took one stroll through the snowy woods for old time's sake. They fondly remembered this place as the place where they spent a great part of their childhood. Back in those days, they practically owned the woods. Nobody messed with them, and nobody dared to speak up to them. They were known as Ichi-ni-san, the trio of terror. Back in those days, they were kings. These days, however, they were simply known as those three guys. They grew up to be fairly average ninjas. They were enlisted in an average squad that didn't even get to see any action in the Fourth Shinobi War, and they got into average missions with low risks after the war ended. They didn't amount to anything great, but they weren't exactly unhappy with their lives either. And they always stuck together. Maybe it was their names, maybe it was their shared misspent youth, but whatever the reason was, they always stood by one another through thick and thin. Hey, remember the time when we? And how about the time when we? Oh no man, that's not how it went. What happened was we. And that's about how all the conversations went. They went for beers, they told jokes, they played cards and were generally nondescript random background guys that you wouldn't pay any attention to if you saw them in a shonen manga series. They were the guys that were smart enough to run screaming in the opposite direction whenever a disaster struck, while the hero jumped into the fray and took care of the mess. For some reason, however, today, on December 6th, they had a sudden urge to go back and play in the snowy woods again. As if a higher power controlled them. They felt the need to go and check out the place just like they used to do back in those days. When nobody messed with them. Maybe it was fate, maybe it was karma. But as they threw snowballs at each other, because even adult men enjoy a little bit of childishness when nobody is really looking, they noticed a young couple making out while lying down iota on the snow. They stood there for a while dumbfounded at that particularly bold public display of affection. Look at them, eating each other's faces. Get a room you two? Is she touching his? Yes, Ichi, yes she is. And is he fondling her? Looks like it's San. A wide grin formed on their collective faces as they nodded at each other. Shall we go mess with them? Said Ichi. You know, for old time's sake, said Ni. I don't see why not, said San. They gathered a couple of snowballs, approached the couple stealthily, and when they were at a good distance from them, threw it at them. The young couple was startled and quickly rose up in order to properly defend from the assault. The blonde man had covered the woman with his back, protecting her from the incoming snowballs, while she rubbed his back in order to quickly get the snow off him before his clothes got soaked. Hey, what's the big idea here? Said the blonde man. We are the ones who should be saying that. This is a public park, you know. There are other places where you can get frisky with one another. Somewhere where passing kids might not be watching. The blonde man hunched and looked downwards in embarrassment. I guess you were right. Sorry, me and my girlfriend are going to be on our way. Let's go, Hinata. The girl nodded and held her boyfriend's hand as she stood by his side. It was then that Ichigo took a closer look at her. No way. It can't be. You are the Byakugan monster? Wondered Nimaru. It's the Byakugan monster. I can't believe she has found a boyfriend. And here I thought the Hyuga always bred with themselves. The trio started laughing, just like they did back in that time. It didn't take long for Naruto and Hinata to figure out who those three guys were. Naruto cracked his fists and got ready to give them some well-deserved payback. He was about to throw a punch at one of them when he felt a light tug on his jacket. No, Naruto, please don't. But Hinata, they called you a monster, just like they did that time. Quote, it's okay. If it weren't for those three guys we wouldn't have met and we wouldn't be together. Think about it. Naruto nodded in understanding. I understand what you are saying, but I can't just sit idly while those jerks insult you and call you names. Look, Naruto, you are an extremely powerful shinobi. If you fight them as you are now, in anger, you might seriously injure them or even kill them. And as lousy as those guys are, I don't think they really deserve that. So, I should just leave them be? Let bygones be bygones? Hinata looked at her boyfriend sweetly and then activated her Byakugan. No, I'm just telling you to let me handle this. The former trio of terror stood in shock as they saw a very calm and collected Hyuga woman slowly approach them with a warm smile on her face and her fists surrounded by purple lion-shaped chakra. 5 minutes later. Hey, Ichi, are we dead? The Ichi-Ni-san trio was currently lying on the snow piled up against each other. No, but I think we won't be able to move for a while. You think somebody will come and pick us up? I don't think so. The Rinne festival is approaching and very few people go through the park on those days. Hopefully, an Anbu will see us and inform the authorities. They stood there silently for a while. She really was a Byakugan monster. Wasn't she? Remind me to never insult a Hyuga again. And she has a boyfriend? Yeah, apparently that tall blonde guy with the whiskers on his face. Who do you think that guy was? Their memories raced back to the Byakugan monster incident many years ago. Their eyes went wide with the realization. The squirt with the scarf? But it can't be, can it? We knocked him out with one punch back then, didn't we? Wait, didn't he say back then that his name was Uzumaki Naruto? As in, hero of the 4th Shinobi War, Uzumaki Naruto? No way, that's her boyfriend? I don't remember what his name was back then. Was that really him? There was a moment of silence. Some hero he is, letting his girlfriend fight for him. Yeah, I bet we would have kicked his ass again really good if he was the one we fought. Yeah, totally. We would probably be more than just paralyzed if we fought him, was the consensus among them, but none of them voiced it. They had to maintain some of their pride after all. This blows. When do you think the paralysis is going to wear off? I think I can move my arm a little. I am touching something. Is this your hand, San? That's my crotch, Ichi. Oh, sorry? So, let go of it. I love you, Hinata? Those 4 words reverberate inside you like a siren. It feels as if a bomb has exploded inside your heart. You can't help but gape your mouth open in disbelief. Has he really said those words? You look at his face for any signs of dishonesty, any signs of doubt. You see none. He really means what he has just said. Is this a dream? Is this reality? Is this really happening? You have waited your entire life for him to say those words. You have spent so many lonely winters craving the warmth of his embrace. Dreaming of him reciprocating your feelings. Of your lips touching his. Of passionate nights under his bed covers. Why did he have to say those words now? You had already made your decision. You were knitting that scarf to finally give it to him and to let your feelings known to him. To let him know that you love him more than just a friend, that you love him as a man and that you had always wanted to be his woman. And then you would tell him your final goodbye and move on to face your fate on the moon, allowing him to live happily with the one he had chosen. You never expected this. You never expected him to love you back. You never expected him to profess his love to you. Your mind is a jumbled mess of thoughts and emotions. You don't know what you are supposed to do and how you are supposed to react to this. Maybe I don't have to do this. You tell yourself. Maybe I should tell him of the burden I have received so that we can complete this mission together. You want to put your arms around him, to tell him that you love him, to finally give yourself to him. And then you hear a noise in the distance. You feel the water rippling as that man descends and you know that it's too late. That you now have to go face your fate and fulfill your destiny. You can't tell him that you love him, no matter how much you want it. You have to break his heart. You have to let go of him. There was a loud explosion. Hinata instinctively covered Himawari, trying to protect her from the incoming shockwave and the flying debris that was coming their way. She felt a sharp pain as a huge gust of dust slammed onto her back. But it wasn't something she couldn't handle. The wave passed them by without incurring any vital damage on any of them. We should have been dead, she thinks. That ball of energy that she saw in the sky was enough to completely destroy not only the stadium but everything within a 20 kilometers radius. Konoha should have been completely annihilated. This could only mean one thing. Naruto must have shielded everyone from the explosion, probably by absorbing a huge brunt of it. It was the sort of thing he would do. The kind of man he was. She had to find him. To make sure that he and her son were all right. She activated her Byakugan and surveyed the area around her. She saw a familiar figure in the distance. Konohamaru-san, Konohamaru-san, is that you, Hinata-sama? Yes, it's me. Have you seen my husband or my son? Konohamaru wiped the dust from his face and approached them. He was practically white from all the debris that had accumulated on his uniform. Your husband and your son are still towards the center of the stadium fighting those two guys that showed up. It's too dangerous to stay here. You have to immediately evacuate the area. I won't leave my husband and my son alone. Don't be unreasonable, Hinata-sama. You will only make things worse if you interfere. Hinata looked at him with a stern expression on her face. Konohamaru was frozen solid. It was the first time he had seen Hinata like this. My husband has always believed in my strength. I won't let him down. Hinata deactivated her Byakugan, bent down and faced her daughter. Himawari, mommy is going to go look for daddy and your brother. You stay with Uncle Konohamaru and listen to him until I return, okay? Himawari let out a weak smile and tried to be brave. Okay, mommy. Please be careful, I promise, sweetie. She activated her Byakugan once more and faced the center of the stadium, walking slowly away from Konohamaru and Himawari. She knew that Konohamaru was a good shinobi and that Himawari would be safe with him, but a part of her was worrying if things were really going to be okay like this. She heard a small exchange when she was a few meters away. So, do you have any idea where we are supposed to go? I can hardly see anything with this dust flying all around the place. My Byakugan shows that there is a place full of people to the right of us. I think we should go there. You have a Byakugan. I also see some people nearby who seem lost. Maybe we should go pick them up too. You have a Byakugan. Hinata couldn't help but smile. Himawari was small, yes, but she was extremely reliable. She would be fine with Konohamaru. She didn't need to worry. She started dashing towards the center of the stadium. She needed to find her son and her husband. To make sure they were all right. Naruto-kun, Boruto, please be safe. It wasn't long before she eventually tracked them. But what she saw filled her heart with fear. Boruto was lying down unconscious with little Sarada. Sasuke was knocked out of Kamizen too and lied powerless beside them. A couple of figures were standing above them. The first one was a huge hulk of a man with a red chakra axe in his hand. The second one was an albeit smaller figure, with somewhat effeminate features and horns on his face. The smaller horned figure was currently holding Naruto by the throat and smiling. Naruto was struggling to move and fight back, but even from that distance Hinata could see that his chakra was completely drained, that he was gravely wounded and that Kurama's chakra inside him was severely compromised. He was about as helpless as a kitten. The Jinchuriki of the Kyuubi is finally ours. Momoshiki-sama, what should I do with those people down there? Kill them all, for all I care. We got what we wanted. No, whimpered Naruto, Boruto. The giant raised his axe and got ready to plunge it downwards towards the blonde teenage boy. Stay away from my son. It was then he received a big chakra-enhanced punch to the face. It was enough to push him backwards, but it didn't seem to faze him. He looked at the one who just hit him. Her eyes got his attention. What is this? Another Byakugan user? Does everyone in this burg have a dojutsu of some kind? Naruto's eyes widened when he saw his wife stand between his son and the Hulk with the axe. Please, Hinata, don't fight them. Take Boruto and Sarada and leave quickly. I won't let them take you. Please, Hinata, go. They are too powerful. The horned man could only scoff at this. We don't have time for this emotional sappy crap. Kinshiki, kill her quickly. Then we can finally get out of this filthy dump. As you command Momoshiki-sama. He took a swing with his axe, aiming to take her head off. Hinata could barely avoid it. Despite his big size, the man she now came to know as Kinshiki was extremely agile. She jumped back and took a fighting stance as she got ready to take the offense. Her fists glowed blue with lion-shaped chakra. Gentle step. 8 trigrams. 64 lion fists. She charged at the Hulk with the speed and agility that only the Hyuga were known for. With every ounce of her strength, she unleashed a flurry of chakra-draining punches at him. It was the strongest move in her arsenal, one that she had managed to develop during the Fourth Shinobi War, when she was trying to protect Naruto from a series of giant human-shaped Jubi clones. It was a move that managed to topple even those giants, absolutely destroying them with only a few series of punches. And it still wasn't enough to affect the man in front of her. He had somehow managed to block every single one of her strikes using his axe and his fist. Her twin lion fists were more of a mild nuisance to him rather than a serious threat. Eventually he deactivated his chakra axe and used his right hand to catch her hand while it was still in the middle of a strike, bringing her barrage to an abrupt stop. Hinata could only barely brace herself for the incoming punch. She felt her ribs crack as his fist connected with her chest. She gracelessly tumbled across the arena ground like a rag doll. The hit was so powerful that it felt as if a building was dropped on top of her. She struggled to get up and face her opponent, but her body just wouldn't listen to her. Her chakra was almost completely used up and every movement she made was met with pangs of extreme pain. It hurt to even breathe. HMPH. Weak, said Kinshiki, hardly worthy of my time. Momoshiki started summoning a portal as he held Naruto on his back. Now then, I guess it's time for us to go. Hinata could only weep in pain. No, give him back, give Naruto back, give Hinata back. You can hear the desperation in his voice. You can see the pain of your betrayal in his eyes. It makes your heart bleed. Give her back. That man gloats at him. Hinata came to me of her own free will. Is this true? You hear him cry, please Hinata. Tell me this isn't true. You want to scream that it's not true. That you still love him with all your heart. You want to push that man aside and jump into his arms. But you can't. If you do, everything will be for nothing. You can't bring yourself to face him again. You feel your resolve wavering and you know that if you look into his eyes again, you will fall completely apart. You won't be able to deny him. You won't be able to let go of him. You can't face him, and you can't talk to him. As things stand, you can only look away and hide inside that man's embrace. Like a coward, that's when the reality hits him. That you are leaving him for the man that is standing beside you. That you belong to someone else now. That you are not coming back to him. You can practically feel his heart break into a million pieces. And even though you can't see it, you know that he is crying. Mourning for the love he lost. The love he finally realized that he had for you. What sort of love did you have for him that allowed you to abandon him so easily? You loved him, and yet you hurt him more than any of his enemies ever could. What sort of person are you? A person with a mission. You tell yourself, trying to make some of the pain go away, a mission to stop the world from ending. No matter how much it hurts, you have to move forward. You have to complete your task, or everything, including the man you love, will be laid to waste. You can't let your emotions get the best of you. You bastard. You hear him cry as he jumps and unleashes one final attack on the man that is currently holding you. His facial expression is one of anger mixed with despair, of pure heartbreak and murdered dreams. You did this to him. Nobody else. The hand of the man holding you glows green and unleashes a green orb. You see it hit the man you love, completely absorbing his chakra and rendering him completely powerless. There is a loud explosion. It engulfs him and consumes him. The scarf you knitted for him is now burning, turning into dust. Like his broken heart. "What are you doing?" you ask the man. "You didn't mean for this to happen. You didn't want him to get hurt so badly. I don't want to get into pointless fights and risk you getting hurt." A green orb glows in front of you and you can feel yourself drifting to sleep. No matter how much you want to change things, it's too late for that now. Just before you lose consciousness, you catch one final glimpse of the man whose heart you irrevocably destroyed. You see him falling into the void. His normally lively eyes are now completely devoid of any spark, of any hope, of any will to live. You did this to him. You were the one who denied him. You were the one who abandoned him. You were the one who broke his heart. You were the one who took away his will to live. You were the one who ultimately got him killed. You were the one who let go of him. And it will haunt you for the rest of your life. Never again. Like an oath, like a mantra, those words kept echoing inside of her. No, I will never let this happen again. Chakra started flowing inside her. She could feel her ribs mending and her aching joints healing. What sort of power was this? Never again, she cried out in desperation. I will never let go. Never again. She felt her head pulsing and a sharp pain shot through her eyes. It felt as if she was being stabbed in the eye sockets with a million sharp needles. She cried out in pain as the aching became unbearable. What was happening to her? A million images flashed before her in a matter of seconds. Of her childhood watching over Naruto. Of her teenage years when she fought alongside him. Eventually the memories focused on a single moment during the Fourth Shinobi War. I can see it in your eyes. You are strong, he told her back then. His words reverberated inside her, filling her with strength and determination. I can see it in your eyes. In your eyes? Your eyes. You are strong, are strong, are strong. She felt one last strong pulse of pain as Naruto's phrase became something else entirely. Your eyes are strong. The pain was gone now. She opened up her eyes once more. She could see everything clearly. It was as if her Byakugan's vision had its blind spot removed and its range was doubled. There were no veins bulging on her head and there was no chakra loss from using them. This was another type of eye entirely. She took a look at herself. She was surrounded by greenish chakra. But this couldn't be. Her chakra was normally blue, and Himura's chakra was normally purple. The only time she saw anybody use this sort of chakra was on the moon, when Naruto fought Toneri with his fully maturated Tenseigan. Oh, she had heard of stories of the Uchiha clan awakening various phases of their Sharingan eyes through extreme emotional or physical pain. She recalled Himawari awakening her own Byakugan through mere anger after having her beloved panda doll destroyed. Maybe the pain and desperation she felt combined with Himura's chakra allowed her to awaken her own version of the Tenseigan? Whatever the cause of this was, she didn't have time to sit down and contemplate it. The portal was almost completely formed and those two powerful beings were getting ready to leave with her husband. What mattered was that she now had a fighting chance against them. She rushed at them at supersonic speed. She couldn't let them take him. She wouldn't let them take him. They didn't even see her coming. She started hitting the both of them in all directions. Momoshiki and Kinshiki could barely block her hits. This wasn't a normal Hyuga they were fighting. This was something else entirely. The destructive power and speed suggested that. It can't be. Is she an Otsutsuki too? Looks like it. A descendant of Hamura to be exact. I never thought I'd ever see the Tenseigan in action again. Hinata could feel the power flowing inside her. On one hand it felt incredible, on the other hand she had to be extremely careful. The last time she saw the Tenseigan in action, the moon was split in half. If she overused that power she risked getting Naruto, Boruto, Sasuke and Sarada seriously hurt. To say nothing of the innocent civilians that would get injured as collateral. So no explosions and no truth-seeking orbs. She would have to fight them up close. She dashed towards Kinshiki and unleashed another flurry of punches at him. She smiled as she saw that it was effective this time. The giant could no longer block her and he kept getting hit by her barrage. He began to falter. She could win this. She could beat them and save both her son and her husband. Her punch took the form of a giant green lion as she swooped in to land the finishing blow on the giant. And then she stopped. Her entire body was completely immobilized. What was wrong? She looked downwards and saw that her shadow was connected to Momoshiki's. I knew that I was right to save that shadow bind jutsu I got from that man earlier. Now is your chance to hit her Kinshiki. Momoshiki's shadow was retracted just before Kinshiki's punch connected with her. She slammed onto the ground, falling right beside her son. The force of the punch was enough to make all of her power go away and her Tensigen revert back into a Byakugan. She briefly recalled Naruto's fight with Toneri. It took Naruto one punch to take him down back then too, didn't it? If her situation wasn't so dire, she would laugh at the fact that she got defeated in a similar way to the man who had tried to claim her heart many years ago. That's the Tensigen for you. She contemplated, extremely powerful and destructive but ultimately unreliable. Momoshiki grinned evilly as he saw the Byakugan princess fall down powerless to the ground, stripped of her power. I think I might want to save some of that shadow bind jutsu for later. It's very convenient. Momoshiki-sama, the portal is about to start closing, we should get moving. Just before they entered the portal, Kinshiki turned toward Hinata's direction. You know, it's not every day when I get to meet a direct descendant of Hamura. We are practically family. It's almost a waste killing you. He raised his hand and released a black orb of energy that slowly headed towards her. Almost. She tried to move out of the way of the orb, but all her powers had abandoned her. She could only move herself closer to her son, to stand next to him in their final moment. Naruto could only watch in terror as the orb slithered closer to his son and his wife. This couldn't be happening. The woman he loved, the one who gave him her love unconditionally. The woman who held his hand and brought him back from the darkness. The woman who soothed his pain with her voice and her body. Who healed his heart. Who gave birth to his children. The baby he held as his arms. The kid he watched take its first steps into the world. The sweet child who threw snowballs at him in the winter. The bratty teenager who craved for his father's attention. His wife, his son, his family. All about to be gone in an instant. He had to move. He had to protect them. What was the point of being the Hokage if he couldn't protect the people who were the most important to him? He tried moving, he tried shaking, but alas, his body was completely limp. He was completely immobilized. At this point, he could only scream. Sasuke, wake up. You promised you would protect everyone. So for Kami's sake, wake up. Protect them. The orb was now only a few meters away. Hinata held her son's hand tightly and braced herself for the end. Darkness enveloped her. Darkness envelops you. And you know that you have failed. In the end, it was all for nothing. All your efforts, all your heartbreak, all your sacrifices. Everything for nothing. You did your best. You were so close to destroying the superweapon that was moving the moon towards the earth. But that man recovered and caught you red-handed, before you even had a chance to land a hit on it. You tried pleading with him, telling him that it was wrong to destroy an entire world because of his ancestors' misguided teachings. Your words fell on deaf ears. He said that he would make sure you would never betray him again. You feel the accursed chakra of the orb he shoved inside of you spread throughout your body, slowly turning you into a puppet. His puppet. Your body now fully belongs to him. Your only solace is that you probably won't be conscious when his plan comes into fruition and the entire world you fought for, the people you love, all disappear in a hail of destructive meteoric rain. That you probably won't be conscious when he makes you his wife. Will he have the decency to at least wake you up when he straddles you on the wedding bed? For some reason you doubt it. This is a man that didn't have any moral misgivings about taking out your teenage sister's eyes and using them for his own purposes. But then again, he might want to wake you up, just to see you suffer. To have your spirit broken as you see everything you cared about turned to waste and then having his way with you. The mere thought of that man kissing you and having any sort of intimate contact with you is enough to make you nauseous. You'd throw up if you still had control of your bodily functions. But right now, you are nothing more than his bride. His puppet. You can only stand and obey as that jutsu fully takes control of your body. You can't help but scold yourself. Going off on your own like this. Whatever made you think that this would be a good idea? You should have told him of your burden. You should have at least informed your commanding officer. Surely he could come up with a much better plan than this? It's too late for that now. What's done is done and you can't do anything about it. You feel the orb's chakra reach your neck. It won't be long until the jutsu fully takes control of you. A single tear escapes your eye. Your final thoughts right before you relinquish the last of your free will are about him. The man you loved, the man you denied, the man whose heart you irrevocably destroyed, the man that you let go. You wonder if he is still alive, and if he will ever find it in his heart to forgive you. Naruto-kun, Naruto-kun. Hinata opened her eyes to see Sakura standing over her, infusing chakra inside her in an effort to keep her alive. SSSHH. The medic told her, keep your strength. You need to fully rest to heal. What happened? Sasuke woke up just in time to cover everyone with his kamui. The attack just passed through and exploded without affecting anybody. Is my son all right? He is currently lying unconscious in a nearby bed. He is not physically hurt. He will be fine. I am glad. What about my husband? Sakura's face turned solemn as she got ready to deliver the bad news. He was taken. Sasuke couldn't get at him in time. Tears flowed down Hinata's cheeks as she realized that her husband was taken to another dimension, probably never to return. The man she loved was now gone. I have failed him, Sakura. I couldn't get him back. I let go of him. Sakura brought her face close to her and looked her in the eye. Her face was stern and serious. She was struggling to keep herself from crying. You didn't fail anyone. You didn't let go of your husband. You fought tooth and nail for him. And it's because you intervened that my husband and my daughter are still alive. Sakura could no longer stop the tears. She put her face on Hinata's chest and started crying. Thank you, Hinata. From the bottom of my heart. Thank you. Your husband is still alive. Sakura and Hinata turned their face to look at Sasuke, who had just entered the room. I can still sense his chakra. This means that wherever he is alive. And because you fought those two guys and stalled their departure, I know in which dimension they are now located. You hear this, Hinata? Cried Sakura as she wiped the tears off her face and smiled warmly at her patient. Your husband is alive, and we are going to get him back. I am glad, said Hinata as she drifted back into unconsciousness. I am happy. Sasuke looked at the woman whose intervention saved him a few hours back. She seemed extremely small and weak as she was sleeping. He couldn't believe that such a petite body could withstand so much. But then again, the same thing could be said about the woman that was currently healing her. He smiled at his wife, who softly smiled back. That dumbass has married a truly extraordinary woman, huh, Sakura? You have no idea how extraordinary. Well then, I am going to go meet the cages in order to come up with a plan to bring back that Usuratankachi. Sakura caressed Hinata's forehead and took a handkerchief in order to wipe the tears off Hinata's face. You didn't let go of him, you hear? You didn't let go. You hear me, Hinata? Hinata? Yes, Naruto? Back in the academy, when they asked us who we would like to spend our final day on Earth with, I couldn't write anything down. I didn't know my parents and I didn't have any friends. But now I know who I would choose. There's no doubt whatsoever. It's you. I want to stay with you. Forever and ever, until I die. I want to be with you, Hinata. You can't help the tears that start flowing down your face. You never believed he would ever forgive you. You never believed that his love for you would stay strong after all the pain you caused him. But he has forgiven you. He told you he understood why you did what you had to do. He told you that he was the one who should apologize to you. For making you wait so long, for not realizing what you felt about him sooner. He held your burned scarf in his hands and told you that he would forever cherish it. Your feelings have finally reached him. You have managed to complete your mission together, and now you are heading back to start your life together. As you jump down the portal that connects the moon and the earth, you see visions of him and you as teenagers, then as kids. You see those visions holding hands and running together, smiling, laughing. You have loved him for so long, longed for him for so long. And now you finally find out that he loves you back. That he has always loved you back. And that you can finally be with him. The last boulder that you jumped on collapses and he starts carrying you in his arms. Happiness and joy fill your heart. You feel as if, even if your life were to end here, even if that portal collapsed before you managed to return to Earth, you would be happy. Because you would be with him, resting inside his warm embrace. But he has other plans. He brings you even closer to him. What are you doing? Ready? Hold on tight. You place your arms around him and put your face on his chest. You hear the sound of his beating heart. It's the most beautiful thing you have ever heard. Now don't let go, alright? You close your eyes and smile. As images of yourselves start floating around you, you make this oath to yourself. I will never let go. His technique thrusts you both out of the portal and into the night sky. As both of you are floating in the air, right before you begin descending back to Earth, he reaches out for you and takes your hand once more. You look at each other's eyes. For a brief moment time stops, gravity stops. As he brings his face closer to yours and you melt into his arms, you repeat that oath once more inside your head, and inside your heart. I will never abandon you. I will never deny you. I will never leave you alone. I will never let go. You seal that oath with your first kiss and add. Nobody remembers how karaoke got started in Konoha. Presumably it had something to do with a guy who once had a band. Part of his shtick was to invite people on stage to sing songs they knew. Eventually he thought that instead of using a band, he could just record the song once and allow people to come on stage and sing along. He then devised a way to show the lyrics on a screen in sync with the music, so that the people who got on stage wouldn't fumble their lines. Nobody remembers who that guy was, what was the name of his band, or where those karaoke machines first premiered. What everybody knew was that once karaoke got started in Konoha, it spread like wildfire. Suddenly karaoke bars were showing up all over the place, and every bar or inn in Konoha that was worth its salt was required to get one of those accursed machines for a fun night every once a week. It was just the right idea at the right time. With the world finally at peace, and young ninjas no longer ripping each other's throats out, people started exchanging cultures and ideas. Songs were being played on the radio, pop singers and stars were being born. And young people everywhere just begged for an opportunity to embarrassingly start singing their favorite tunes in public, preferably after downing a considerable amount of alcohol beforehand. We meet our beloved heroes in one of those newly built karaoke bars in Konoha. Stop hogging the mic, Ino pig. You will have to take it from my cold dead hands, forehead girl. Remember what was said before about ninjas not ripping each other's throats out anymore? You can disregard that part. Come on, it's my turn to sing. Your voice is like a cat choking on its own fur. Better than yours. It sounds like a dog being stepped over by a cart. Naruto and Hinata were looking at the two girls arguing with one another. Ino and Sakura's friendship was a sight to behold indeed. On one hand, the two of them supported and gave strength to each other. They knew each other's strength and weaknesses. They collaborated perfectly both in field and in Konoha's newly formed children's hospital. But on the other hand, they tended to get into heated arguments every 5 minutes. Naruto looked at Hinata and nodded. It was time to get between the two women before things escalated and got out of hand. He got up and moved towards his former teammate and her vitriolic best friend. Girls, settle down. Why don't you two just sing a duet? The two girls just glared at him. What sort of song am I supposed to sing with her? The bitch is back. How about, loser, chirped in the blonde kunoichi. You can take the lead in that one. What did you say, Ino pig? Sakura's fist clenched. Naruto realized he had to de-escalate the situation fast. How about we have Hinata have a go at the karaoke machine? Nah, Naruto, whelped the indigo-haired kunoichi. I agreed to come here today on the explicit condition that I wouldn't sing. Naruto bent over near her and whispered in her ear. Come on, Hinata, take one for the team. You know what happens when those two get into a fight, and I can't afford to pay through the nose to repair another demolished bar. Hinata looked at Naruto and then at the two women who were getting ready to smash each other's faces in. Can I have the microphone please? I changed my mind. I think I want to sing. Sakura gave Ino a knowing look and waved her hand in the air in a way that only her would understand. Their plan had worked. Ever since Naruto and Hinata became a couple, they had taken it upon themselves to make the blonde idiot understand what a great catch Hinata was. They wanted him to see aspects of Hinata's personality that he didn't know she had and that she wasn't likely to show him otherwise. Just the other day, for example, they invited them to help out at the children's hospital, because they needed a few extra hands to help out with setting up the spring festival. They wanted to show Naruto how good Hinata was with children. It worked like a charm. Naruto even told Hinata that he thought she would make a great mother. She was blushing for 3 days straight afterwards. The plan today was to get Hinata to sing in front of Naruto. To finally get her to overcome her bashfulness and showcase her vocal talents to him. And hopefully make Naruto fall in love with her even deeper. That's brilliant, the pinkette said as she grinned at her friend. Come on Hinata, take the center stage, you can do it, said the blonde kunoichi as she handed her the microphone and shoved her near the karaoke box. What should I sing? How about that song you used to sing us about Naruto? Said Sakura, you know, at Winter's End. It's number 17 on the song catalog. Naruto froze as he heard Ino's words come out of her mouth. "Hi, Hinata, used to sing a song about me?" Ino put her arms around the blonde ninja and grinned. "Oh yeah, back then, before you two were a couple." Hinata heard a song on the radio and it struck a chord with her. She used to hum it whenever she felt her feelings weren't being requited. Which was a lot of the time. Naruto looked at his girlfriend as she bashfully fidgeted in front of him. Really? Hinata looked away in embarrassment. "Why, yeah, can I listen to it?" He put his arms around her and looked at her with that pleading look. "Please, don't look at me like that, please. I can't resist you when you look at me like this." "Oh, okay," she eventually said in a defeated tone. Hinata stood on the stage and steeled herself as Sakura pressed the buttons on the song selection box. "Go Hinata, the stage is all yours," shouted the pink-haired Kunoichi. "Show your boyfriend what you've got." Soft music echoed all around. The tone of the song seemed happy, but it had a tinge of sadness in its melody. Hinata took a deep breath and brought the microphone closer. She closed her eyes as she got ready to sing the first verse. "My mind still recalls that day. As the snow dances in the night sky. And it begins to fall. Covering everything again." Naruto was mesmerized. Hinata's voice felt soft and light, almost angelic to his ears. He really wished he had heard her sing earlier. "You were never looking back. Always something being in your way. And it always seemed to me like you'd go somewhere far away." It was at this point that Naruto noticed that the words Hinata was singing about were quite different from what was being shown on the karaoke screen. What Hinata was singing was not the normal version of the song. The words that she was singing right now didn't come from the screen. They came from somewhere else, somewhere deeper. "And no matter what I do, my feelings don't seem to get through to you. You don't even seem to notice that they're there." Was she talking about him? Was she talking about their relationship before the moon mission? He always liked her, and she was very important to him. And apparently he was important to her too. But he never noticed that she loved him in a romantic sort of way. He always thought she loved him as a friend, as a precious comrade. It took him getting trapped in an optical illusion and experiencing what she felt about him directly to finally figure out that she loved him as a man. "I have longed for you. For, oh, so many nights. And so many lonely winters. Seem to pass by through my sights. I lost track of counting them all. It's unrequitable. And unfulfillable. But loving you is something I just can't bring myself to end. And though it hurts me so, my heart will still stay warm within the cold snow." Her voice was now unmistakably sad as she recounted the many years he had stayed oblivious to her love. Has he really caused her so much pain? And yet, despite all that, she couldn't bring herself to stop loving him, the man who never noticed her feelings and her sorrow. The song now reached a short instrumental break. Hinata couldn't bring herself to open her eyes. She was afraid to look at Naruto's expression. She was afraid he would laugh at the song she had made for him or that it would make him feel uncomfortable. So she opted to still close her eyes and move into the next verse. She took one more deep breath. "Looking through your bright blue eyes, I see all are important to you. It makes me wonder if I'm just as important to you too." Her voice was trying to sound cheerful, but Naruto could feel the underlying bitterness as she sang that verse. She really thought that she never was anything special to him. "How wrong you are. You were special to me back then. You were the one person who believed in me and gave me strength." He felt a pang of guilt as he realized. "But we didn't interact a lot back then, didn't we? There were times when I hardly paid attention to you. No wonder you ended up believing that you weren't important to me. If that's how you truly feel, if that brings you happiness inside, I'll simply smile and send you off, casting my feeling far aside. You have endured this all this time. You put on a warm smile and supported me while I was off doing whatever it was I was doing. You never cared about yourself. You just wanted me to achieve my dreams. To be happy. And I know that you let go. The memory when we met so long ago. But for me it's still so special in my heart. I remember then, time and time again. And my mind goes back to that one moment. When our eyes first met. In my heart that memory I'll keep." Naruto could feel the passion as she sang this, her voice hitting the notes and holding strong in all the right places. She literally poured her heart inside that performance. She had recently reminded him of the bully incident when they first met a long time ago. While for her it was a really special day, the day when she fell in love with him, for Naruto it was simply a day like any other. He tried to act tough, he embarrassed himself and cried himself to sleep alone like he always used to do back then. Naruto mentally slapped himself. How could he forget? Why didn't he cherish that day the way she did until now? I am fairly sure I'll never love again. I will never feel this kind of love for someone else like then. I'm thinking as I gaze at the silvery cover, blessing those days. The song moved into another lengthy instrumental break, leaving Naruto to gaze softly at the figure of Hinata who still had her eyes closed. He felt Sakura's arms on his back. She swayed him softly to the rhythm of the music and screamed in his ear. "See who you've been neglecting up until now?" And she was right. He let this wonderful creature alone and hurt all those years. He never paid her the attention she deserved. And despite all that, her love for him never wavered. She never lost her faith in him, she never got back on her word. She never looked for love anywhere else. She was waiting for him. And he had left her waiting. For so long. The song moved into a still and Hinata started singing the next verse softly. "I have longed for you. For, oh, so many nights. And so many lonely winters seemed to pass by through my sights. I lost track of counting them all." Suddenly the song moved into a crescendo and the Hinata's voice became even more loud and passionate. "It's unrequitable. And unfulfillable. Still I keep telling myself I'm happy with how things have been. But I know I'm telling myself lies." His voice was now beginning to crack as her emotions started getting the best of her. Naruto felt a big painful throb in his heart. He did this to her. He made her think she wasn't important to him and she tried to put on a brave face and smile while he went around on her merry way. She tried to be happy for him. To tell herself that she would be happy if only he was happy. But she wasn't, she was miserable. She was only lying to herself. She wanted to be with him, as something more than just a friend, and she thought she was being selfish for feeling this way. "You weren't selfish. You are the more selfless person I know. My feelings I must send. I'll tell you once again. Even if my love won't reach you, I'll try until the very end. Until I make it through. I muster all of my strength. Exclaim this one truth, that now and always, I've been in love with you." The song moved into a close and Hinata whispered a soft, "I'm still in love with you," into the microphone. She couldn't bring herself to look at anything. Tears were starting to well up in her eyes. She actually did it. She really sang the song she had made for him in front of him. What would he think? Would he think she was weird? That she was creepy? Would he think the song was awful? She felt his arms wrapped softly around her as if she was the most precious person in his world. As if she was about to break. And in a manner of speaking she was. "You have a lovely voice, Hinata." He softly whispered to her ear. "This song's lyrics that you just sang. They were different from what was shown on the screen. This isn't the normal version of the song, is it? It's a version of the song you wrote, for me, isn't it?" "Yes," she confessed to him. "I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry I hurt you so badly. For making you wait for so long. Please forgive me, Naruto K." She felt his lips on her and her mind went blank. All the pain she had felt until now, all the heartbreak. It was all worth it, because she was finally with him. The microphone fell on the floor. Nobody picked it up. Ino and Sakura looked at the couple for a few seconds before pumping their fists together. "Nailed it. Yep. If I had to say that today's mission was a rousing success." Naruto's love points just increased by a factor of 10 at least. They looked at couple a little more. Eventually Sakura looked back at Ino. "How are things with Sai?" she asked thoughtfully. "Well, he is still as socially awkward as ever. He still has problems opening up. And he manages to say the most embarrassing things when I am out with him in public." "You miss him, don't you? Like crazy. He's been on a mission with Shikamaru for 2 weeks and I can hardly stand it. I just want to see him smile again." Ino looked at her pink-haired friend. She could see that she was happy for them. But she could also see that a lot of pain still resided in her heart. "I am sure he will return to Konoha one of those days." Yeah, there was no doubt who was the person that she was referring to. "If he doesn't, I swear I will travel to the ends of the earth, beat the crap out of him and drag him back to you." Sakura couldn't help but let out a short chuckle at Ino's declaration. "What's so funny?" "Nothing. It's just, Hinata told me the exact same thing just a few days ago." Ino couldn't help but stare at the girl who was currently making out with the blonde in front of them. "She did? Hinata?" "Yeah." Ino stood there dumbfounded. "Wow, I never thought she had it in her to say something like this. Naruto must be rubbing off on her. I guess. There was an awkward silence. So, shall we pick up the mic and sing something? This is a karaoke bar after all. Nah, after Hinata's performance I think it would be anticlimactic. Ino nodded. I agree. So, what now? I am not really in the mood to just sit down and watch those two dorks swap spit for the next hour. How about we leave those two lovebirds alone and head to that bar down the street to celebrate the success of our mission? The two kunoichis smiled at each other. Sounds like a plan, said the blonde-haired one as she grabbed her bag and headed for the exit door. On the way out, we will tell the manager that the couple inside is not to be disturbed until they head out. A Grinch-like smirk formed on the Pinkette's face. And that they're paying. The blonde kunoichi smirked back. You're evil. After story. No matter what day it is. 2 weeks later, Hinata rubbed her neck as she went inside Konoha's AUM gate, along with Kiba, Shino and Akamaru. It wasn't a tough mission, but it had been a long and tiring one. And as much as she enjoyed her teammates' company, right now all she wanted was to head home, have a good bath, relax, and make some arrangements to see Naruto tomorrow. She wasn't planning to meet him today, and she most definitely wasn't expecting to see him on the way to the Hokage's office. But here he was, standing in front of her, holding a microphone. Along with 4 shadow clones. One of which was holding a boombox, and another mic. Okay, guys, let's do this. The clone with the boombox pushed the play button, left the boombox on the ground and run besides the original Naruto with his mic. An upbeat tune started playing and the 3 shadow clones who weren't holding the microphone got in front, striking a pose right before they started moving in sync to the music. Team 8 could only stand there and look. What the hell was Naruto doing? The original Naruto took a deep breath and started yelling at the mic. It is in the expansive scenery before me. I saw only what was facing me. That there is truth hiding on the backs of things. I never noticed and overlooked. Kiba looked at Shino, who was about as weirded out at the whole spectacle as he was. Was Naruto really serenading Hinata in the middle of the street? In public? With a shadow clone providing the backup vocals? Getting lost, and taking the long way. It's not a smooth road, but if I turn around, I know you are beside me. Watching over me, kindness overflowing. Why, yes he was. The song became more upbeat and Naruto's voice became louder. His voice wasn't completely in sync, he missed a few notes here and there, but they could see that he was putting his heart into it. No matter what day it is, no matter what time it is. I'll never give up on what I'm aiming for. If you laugh, then with just that, it will always give me strength. Are they really watching this? Are they really watching the shadow clones breakdance? Isn't Hinata weirded out by all of this? Like the flowers coloring the treetops in 2 colors. Let's start answering our feelings. Even the days I look back on, not a single one is the same. They build upon one another. I now understand the meaning of warmth. A crowd is starting to gather all around in order to see what the hell is going on. This is so embarrassing, thought Kiba. No matter what day it is, no matter what time it is. The bright sunshine raining down upon is smiling with us and accompanying us. These days that I want to protect. The place where our roads meet, from here on out. The 3 shadow clones started somersaulting around the singing Naruto duo, throwing confetti all around them. Shino adjusted his glasses and rubbed his temples in shame. If anybody asked, he would vehemently deny ever knowing the blonde ninja in front of him. And he would kill anyone who suggested otherwise. With bugs brutally ripping out their insides. Let's walk together, and start today. The original Naruto came close to Hinata and started holding her hand and looked her in her eyes as he kept on singing. Her face was red like a tomato. But she couldn't help but smile. Understanding one another, believing in one another, we'll take these bonds and drive them deep into our hearts. He let her hand go and went back to the background to sing the song's climax. No matter what day it is, no matter what time it is. I won't give up on the dream I'm aiming for. If you just laugh, then with just that, it gives me strength. We might fail, but we won't bend. No matter what, we'll do what it takes. Even when there is a shadow on our hearts. Now that we're together, from this point where our roads meet, we'll walk together, and start today. The song ended and the shadow clones popped out of existence. The original Naruto struck a pose, and picked up the microphone that his clone dropped. Team 8 could only stand there and look in disbelief. Naruto-kun was the only thing Hinata could utter at this point. Her boyfriend smiled goofily and rubbed the back of his head. Was really touched by your song at the karaoke just the other day, the song that you wrote for me. And so I thought I should write a song for you too, to answer you, and to tell you how I feel about you. You didn't have to perform in public, you idiot, yelled Kiba. Can you imagine how embarrassed poor Hinata is feeling right now? I am sorry, the blonde said as he lovingly gazed into her eyes. I just couldn't wait to share this with you. There's no way, thought Kiba. There's no way she will just accept this. The song was cheesy, the performance was corny, and there is about 100 people standing here shaking their heads. There's no way she will. Oh, Naruto-kun. She jumped into Naruto's arms and started planting kisses on his lips and his whiskers, not caring about the dirt and the grime that had accumulated on her during the mission or the sweat that he had on his face after performing the song. Not caring that about 100 people were watching. I loved it, thank you, I love you. It was at this point that Akamaru thoughtfully licked his owner's hand and barked thoughtfully at the couple. No, Akamaru, they are not in heat season. Well, okay, in a way they are, but it doesn't work this way for them. They can be in heat all year long, you see. Akamaru just put his paws on his head and bent downwards, rubbing his nose on the ground. No, I don't know how they can stand it either. He turned his attention to his other teammate. You think she really liked the song Shino? If I had to observe, the answer is an obvious yes. Why? Because her tongue is currently inside his mouth and her pheromone levels. Enough. No need to be so descriptive. Geez. Akamaru started growling. Not yet, Akamaru. Let's leave them like this for a couple more minutes. Then we'll throw a bucket of cold water over them. Naruto and Hinata held each other's hand and lovingly smiled at one another as the cart carried them from the wedding reception to the onsen where they were going to spend their honeymoon. It had been a long day. The wedding ceremony and the wedding reception had its ups and downs, but in the end everything went smoothly. All their friends, all the important people in their lives were there to support them. All those people, all those characters gathered around them, talked to them, cheered for them, prayed for their happiness. Not only from Konoha, but also, Suna, Iwa, Kiri. Had they really touched the lives of so many? Both Naruto and Hinata couldn't believe it. And nearly everyone who was there added a little story, a little spice, a little something, that made the story of their marriage special, something that they would never forget. It was all very episodic, to say the least. But that's a story for another day. The wedding cart stopped and they both looked at the onsen that Shikamaru had booked for them for their honeymoon. It wasn't something extravagant, but it was a quiet place with a nice and relaxing atmosphere, and it was very near Konoha, which meant that it didn't take long for the wedding cart to take them there. Naruto and Hinata were especially thankful for the last part. After a wedding reception like this, the only thing they wanted right now was to just clean themselves, relax, and finally spend some quality time with each other. They weren't in the mood to travel for hours inside a bumping horse carriage. They nearly sprinted from the wedding cart into the onsen and headed straight to the reception to get their keys. The onsen's owners smiled as they signed their names. He then took the newlywed couple by the side and told them that some special arrangements were made. They would have the bathing facilities just to themselves for the rest of the evening. When Naruto asked who made those arrangements, the owner just grinned and told him that he was not allowed to say. Naruto was baffled. Shikamaru really wasn't the type of guy who would arrange something like this. He would consider it too troublesome. Who could have possibly done this? Perhaps later, when they both opened up their gifts and examined Shikamaru's closer, they would find some clues. Now was not the time to ponder this. The couple left their luggage in their room, took their clothes off, put on their robes, and headed toward the onsen's bathing facilities. After they had a separate shower, as per the establishment's rules, they headed inside the hot springs and allowed themselves to relax. The owner had told them the truth. Nobody else was coming inside. They were alone, free to enjoy each other in whatever way they pleased. So instead they opted to just relax and softly cuddle each other. Hinata nested her back on Naruto's chest, allowing him to rest his chin on top of her head. Naruto smiled as he pondered how perfectly Hinata's body fitted into his. Hinata internally screamed as she felt a certain appendage of Naruto's rub against her buttocks and actively resisted the urge to just turn around and jump him then and there. During the year they were together, she had grown more comfortable around him and opened up a lot more. The timid girl that used to faint around him was gone and a confident woman was starting to take her place. She began taking the initiative more frequently, and Naruto was often shocked at how bold and expressive his previously shy girlfriend could be in private. But now was not the time to be bold. Now was the time to relax, appreciate each other's company, and just let the day's troubles and fatigue melt away inside the hot spring bath. And to address something else. Naruto, yeah? Remember what Iruka-sensei said at the wedding reception? Tears were beginning to well up in Iruka's eyes as he saw his students hold each other's arms. He remembered the small bratty kid he used to teach, the one he initially resented but ended up becoming so close to his heart. The one that ended up calling him a father. He also remembered the little shy girl who quietly watched and cared for him from the sidelines. The one who believed in him before everybody else. Before even him. The little girl who, I just remembered a funny story. A really long time ago, I asked Naruto's class a question. If the world were to end tomorrow, who would you like to spend your final day on Earth with? Iruka-sensei, I've been meaning to ask you this. What was the purpose of that question? Why would you ask a bunch of kids something like that? Iruka's face turned stern and serious. A shinobi's life can be short and treacherous, Naruto. You know that. The purpose of the question is to determine where the kids can stay and to make proper arrangements in case of an emergency or if something happens to their parents. Oh, anyway, back then, you didn't answer the question. You just turned your answer sheet into a paper plane and threw it out of the window. In hindsight, now I know why you didn't want to answer. You were an orphan and you didn't have any friends. Yeah, said Naruto as he scratched the back of his head. I remember this happened during the time when you still hated my guts. Iruka scratched his head back in shame. Well, I wouldn't call it, hate your guts exactly. A more accurate description would be, still had some misconceptions about you. Anyway, I understand why you didn't answer the question and I let it slide. Iruka started getting sentimental again as he recalled collecting the answer sheets and reading what the rest of the students wrote on them. But that girl standing beside you, she did answer. And she put your name on it. That girl, she has loved you since then. Hinata's eyes widened as Iruka confided this bit of information. That incident occurred a long time ago, and she had almost forgotten all about it. As far as she was concerned, it was ancient history. The information shared by the students was confidential, and there was no way Naruto was ever going to find out that she had written his name down on that answer sheet. But what shocked her more was Naruto's reaction. Quite plainly, there were no hints of surprise on his face. There was a warm smile and a nod of acknowledgement as if he already knew. I am so happy the two of you found each other. Her train of thought was interrupted by an overly emotional Iruka who had just opened the floodgates and embraced them both in an overly wet hug. When Iruka-sensei told you about me writing your name on the "Who would you like to spend your final day on Earth with?" question? You didn't seem surprised. Hinata turned her head around to face her husband. His face had suddenly grown dark. She could see she was onto something. Did you already know? Naruto could only sigh in exasperation and embarrassment. Hinata really could read him like an open book. So, you figured it out? But how? The answers were confidential and I never told you anything about it. Naruto steeled himself. This was a conversation he should have had with her a long time ago. Remember the moon mission? Yeah, at some point we were trapped in some sort of genjutsu. Something that trapped us into our own memories. Sai saw that thing where he was with his brother. I remember that, and I saw my time at the academy, and the Chunin exams. Go on. But then something happened, I don't know what exactly, and I began experiencing your memories. I saw you talking to Sakura about love, I saw your struggles in trying to get through to me, and I saw you putting my name on the answer sheet. You did? Yeah? And why didn't you tell me until now? Naruto turned his face away. He couldn't bring himself to face her. Because I was ashamed that I figured out you loved me like this. What do you mean? All this time I was trying to gain everyone's acknowledgement and I was blind to the one person who had loved me and believed in me. The one person who acknowledged me for who I was. Naruto-kun, you were always looking after me and I kept being blind. You always supported me and I kept being blind. Heck, you straight up told me that you loved me while facing certain death and I kept being blind. It took me experiencing your memories directly to finally open my eyes and realize how you felt about me. Please, Naruto-kun, don't. I am really pathetic, aren't I? All those years, all this time we have lost. It took a lousy genjutsu to pull my head out of my ass and see what was in front of me the whole time. I really don't deserve to have someone like why. He froze when he felt Hinata's lips on his. Please, Naruto, stop. She had dropped the honorific. She wasn't addressing Naruto-kun anymore, she was addressing her husband. Please don't be so hard on yourself. But Hinata, I also have a confession to make. A confession? Naruto looked at her with a puzzled expression on his face. Remember when I was trapped in the infinite Tsukuyomi? How could he forget? The day when the world almost ended. He felt her chakra presence completely disappear as she got absorbed inside the world tree. He almost ran off to save her, before Sasuke stopped him. It was one of the scariest experiences of his life. What about the infinite Tsukuyomi? I never told you what I saw while I was inside it, did I? What did you see? He saw Hinata's face take a painful expression. I saw the world at peace. I saw Neji alive. I saw the animosity between the main and the branch family completely disappear. I saw the caged bird seal abolished and I saw us together. You were in love with me and we were a couple. We went on dates, you were holding my hand, we looked at the starry sky. And we kissed? Why yeah, Hinata admitted. Naruto didn't know if he should be jealous or not. Hinata's first kiss was with an illusion. It was an illusion of him, of course, but still. And what does this have to do with everything? This time it was Hinata's turn to turn her face away. Before the infinite Tsukuyomi I still loved you. But I kept telling myself that I was content with how things were. That if only you were happy, then I would be happy. I was content with being selfless and watching you from the sidelines, only stepping in to help when I saw that you really needed me. She clenched her fists and splashed her hands into the water. She had to get this out of her system. To come out completely clean like Naruto did. After the infinite Tsukuyomi, I realized that I couldn't remain selfless. That I wanted you to be happy with me. That I didn't want you to be with someone else. I realized that I wasn't content with just standing by your side and walking next to you holding your hand. I wanted to be something more to you. I wanted to be your wife and your lover. After the infinite Tsukuyomi I realized. I had been lying to myself all this time. She trembled as she went on. If you are pathetic for not realizing I loved you until you got trapped in a genjutsu, then I am doubly so. Because it took me getting trapped in an illusion to make me realize how badly I wanted to be with you. To finally start facing my feelings for you directly. I guess what I am trying to say that I am the one that truly doesn't dare. She fell silent as she felt his arms wrap around her and he pushed her face close to her chest. He started rocking her up and down, caressing her and kissing her, like she was the most precious thing in the world. SSSH, don't say that. Don't ever tell yourself that. Hinata just closed her eyes and relaxed once more inside her husband's embrace. Naruto most certainly had a way with physical communication. He could make her feel better and lift her spirits up without even uttering a word. As he held her and kissed her, she could tell. He didn't judge her, he didn't reject her. He just accepted her. He just loved her. We are both pretty hopeless, aren't we? He said with a soft chuckle. Yeah, she chuckled back. You know, he softly whispered as he gently caressed her back, I have once wondered if my feelings for you were the result of that illusion I saw back then. If I was somehow manipulated into loving you. He kissed the top of her head and rubbed his chin against her forehead. But then I thought, what it was that I actually saw in that illusion. At the end of the day, the only thing that the illusion made me do was to make me reflect. It just showed me scenes of our mutual past. It made me stop endlessly moving forward for just a few minutes, and it made me look back long enough to see who was standing beside me and supported me the whole time. He brought her face closer to his and gave a soft kiss on the lips before continuing. When I saw you write my name on that paper and just smiled, I remembered the way my father silently supported my mother when they were kids, and then it just hit me. I wasn't just somebody who was important to you. You didn't just love me as a friend. You loved me the same way that my father loved my mother. He rubbed his lips against hers softly, breathing in her scent, and absorbing her soft womanly features. And when the illusion ended and I just looked at you, when I was talking to you while we're walking around in that ancient city, I finally got it. All this time, I loved you in the same way that my mother loved my father. The kiss was now deep, more bold, more erotic. She responded in kind, rubbing her body against him and clenching her legs around his waist. The genjutsu didn't do anything. I already was in love with you. It just helped me figure out what kind of love it actually was. They continued making out like this for a few minutes, letting their bodies do the rest of the talking. I have longed for you. I craved you, for so long, her body told him. So have I, his body answered back. So have I. There were no words. They eventually stopped before things got out of hand. They were both at their limit and they really didn't wish to just take each other in an open-air hot spring where people could hear them. Or silently watch them for that matter. Shall we continue in our room upstairs? He suggested. Yeah, let's, was the only thing she could say as she gasped for air. They both got out of the hot spring and put their robes on, dashing towards their room as fast as they could. They had lost so much time. They had a lot of catching up to do. So, Naruto said jokingly as he pinned her down on their bed and started to untie her robe's sash. Which one of us is a better kisser? Me, or the Naruto you kissed in that illusion? I don't know, she told him in a playful voice. Why don't you kiss me again to help me figure it out? Naruto happily obliged, as his lips softly pulled hers down, as his tongue twirled first inside her mouth, then around her neck and then moved further downwards. Hinata briefly contemplated her time within the infinite Tsukuyomi. All her problems were solved there, all her deepest wishes were true. But she wouldn't change what she had now for anything in the world. His lips reached that sweet spot right next to her scar that Naruto knew drove her wild, and all thoughts of that alternative reality were washed away from her mind in a torrent of pleasure. Why you? She gasped at him. Most definitely you. She briefly saw him grin right before he moved his head right between her legs. Good answer. I guess I will give you your reward now. Yees, she mentally screamed right before she began losing all sense of restraint and reason. This is so real? Bonus scene. Naruto and Hinata were currently lying next to each other, basking in the afterglow of the first time they made love as husband and wife. Hinata rested her head against Naruto's chest and gently closed her eyes as she listened to Naruto's beating heart. She has a big smile on her face, as if this was the most precious sound in the world. It was the most beautiful thing Naruto had ever seen. Suddenly, a thought passed through his head. He really needed to know this. You know, Hinata, I've been meaning to ask you, what did you see when you were trapped in that genjutsu? Hinata softly made her fingers walk against his belly, sending short jolts of electricity to Naruto's body. She gently smiled and turned her face upwards to look Naruto in the eye. I saw bits and pieces of our childhood together. I saw our first meeting back then at the forest. I saw the pain and loneliness that you faced as a child. I saw what the word, love, meant to you. She climbed on top of him and bent down to whisper in his ear. And I saw how much you actually cared for me. Really? Really? When I saw you crying during the pain invasion, after you had confirmed I was alive, I just wanted to run up to you and give you a big hug. You actually saw that? Yep. She gently kissed his lips once more. Thank you, for caring for me. For cherishing me. She started planting gentle kisses across his chest as she got ready for another round. Say, Hinata, you didn't see anything weird in my memories, did you? Like what? Nothing. Nothing. It's not important. He surrendered to his wife's charms once more and he mentally exhaled in relief. Side story. The one who made the arrangement. 4 days ago, Shikamaru felt himself relax as he dipped his body inside the hot spring. He carefully evaluated the onsen that he was currently in order to determine if it was really the best one for the occasion. All in all, it was a good establishment. The staff was hospitable and friendly, the food was good and plentiful, the rooms were big and comfortable, and it was affordable enough for him to pay without going bankrupt. The only problem was the hot spring. The onsen had the men and the women going to the bath on separate times, with certain days of the week being mixed bath days. He didn't quite know if this was conducive to a nice and romantic honeymoon. He needed to ask his partner about it. So, what do you think, Tamari? He turned to face her as she was standing on the other side of the onsen. He couldn't see her clearly at that distance, with the steam fogging up the place, but he could hear her loud and clear. Tamari arched her back, felt the day's fatigue melt away in the water. Well, I like it. It has a certain charm. I am a bit worried about the hot spring situation. I think the bathing situation leaves a lot to be desired. It's not the most romantic of arrangements. Naruto and Hinata will most likely want some private time with each other. About that, I already got it covered. Covered? How? He couldn't see Temari's face, but he could feel her smiling. In the same way that his mother used to smile. Scary. The owner of the onsen told me that if I give them about 1.000 ryo he can make some arrangements so that Naruto and Hinata can be alone in the hot spring. So I gave him 2.000 ryo in order to arrange for them to have their first night here alone together. That was very thoughtful of you. So, I guess this will be your wedding present, right? Yep, I've done all I could for the couple. Temari and Shikamaru leaned, their bodies float in the water. There was a comfortable silence. The one that only the two of them knew how to share. It had occurred to Shikamaru that it was the first time he was alone with the Suna Kunoichi like this. From the bottom of my heart, Temari, thank you for doing this. Well, I sort of felt bad for trying to blow you around town over a simple misunderstanding. And for causing thousands of ryo in property damage. It's a good thing Kakashi helped me cover this up. Well, what's done is now done. I felt bad, I apologized, let it go. Fair enough. There was another moment of silence. For some reason Shikamaru felt the need to break it. You know, it's hard for me to believe that Naruto is getting married before me. Why is it so hard for you to believe it? I never told you this, but I never aspired to be a hero or leader. What I always wanted was to be an average shinobi, have an average life, marry an average wife and then have a couple of kids, first a boy, then a girl. I would then retire and play shogi with them until I died, preferably before my wife. He heard an odd noise in the distance. Was Temari actually giggling? Is there something wrong? Nothing, it's just that. I never thought you were the sort of guy who would want to settle down early. I always thought that you wanted to be a great general or something like that. Well, it's the first time I mentioned this to anyone. Shikamaru heard a splash in the distance. Temari was probably moving closer? You seem to be in talking mood today. It's not like you at all. It's probably because we are in the hot spring, said Shikamaru as a big smile formed on his lips. Choji once told me that people's souls open up in a bathhouse, just like oysters in the steam. He heard Temari giggling once more. He thought it was cute? Your unskinny friend seems to have a thing for food metaphors. Shikamaru's smile grew wider. Temari was familiar enough with him and his team to not refer to Choji with the F word. Well, he is an Akamichi. Food is sort of their thing. But I wouldn't have him any other way. Temari grew quiet, disturbingly quiet. So, have you found this average girl you wish to marry? Well, I haven't actually started looking. But something that is painfully obvious to me now is that the so-called average person doesn't exist. Every individual, no matter how weak and insignificant they seem, has something that makes them unique. So there is no point in looking for an average girl. Quote, there was no response from Temari. She was probably expecting him to keep talking. No, what I should look for is somebody with whom I can easily communicate and cooperate. There was another moment of silence, but this time it felt more tense. Shikamaru, what do you think of me, as your partner? Shikamaru thought long and hard. He felt like he owed Temari a decent answer. Well, we work great together, and we can read each other quite well on the field. We can hold a decent conversation and we cover each other's weaknesses. I'd say you are an excellent partner. So, the woman you are looking for is somebody like me? Shikamaru didn't like where this was going. He figured he had to change the subject. Temari, you never told me. What is your dream in life? My dream? I wish to change the shinobi world. With you, was the part she didn't say. Change it? In what way? I guess. I want people to stop being treated like weapons. I want to stop things like what happened to my little brother Gaara from ever happening again. You sound like the sort of person who wishes for world peace. Well, I want that too. That's a very noble dream. It was at this point that Shikamaru started noticing that something very weird was going on. It was supposed to be a mixed bath day and yet nobody else had entered the hot springs yet. Still, he decided to continue the conversation. Tell you what, Naruto's wedding is definitely a step in the right direction. In what way? It's the first time ever an ancient clan like the Hyuga allows anybody to marry outside their clan. For them to actually allow the daughter of clan's leader to actually marry someone who is not a Hyuga is a big breakthrough for them. It means that they are starting to let go of the backwards traditions that hold them back. They start to consider the individuals of their clan as people rather than disposable pawns. Now that I think about it myself, this really is a big deal. Indeed, people being allowed to marry outside of their respective clans means that the villages no longer feel the need to preserve the purity of their precious blood limits. The way things are going, you will soon see marriages between villages happening, mark my words." He felt Temari's tone change as she addressed him again. It sounded soft. "Shikamaru, do you really think marriages between villages can actually happen?" "Not only I think that they can happen, I think that it's essential that they happen. It will mean that the hidden villages are finally working and cooperating together to achieve peace and prosperity, that the value of an individual to them is something much more than the clan or the blood limit he was born into. Yes," he concluded, "if the shinobi world is to effectively change, marriages between villages need to happen." The two of them fell silent once more. Temari's figure was clouded, but Shikamaru could see that she was reflecting on their conversation. "How come nobody else has entered the hot springs? It's been over an hour since we went inside and it's supposed to be open now. Surely someone would have walked in on us by now." It was then that Shikamaru noticed a glaring detail he missed before when talking to Temari. "Wait a minute." Temari said that for 1,000 ryo the owner of the onsen could arrange some private time for couples. Temari said that she paid 2,000 ryo for Naruto and Hinata's first night, which means that she paid for. He never got to finish that thought. A blonde projectile was launched at him, catching him completely by surprise. There was a loud splash. He looked upwards to see a very flustered and very naked Temari staring down at him. "Shikamaru of the Nara clan, shinobi of the hidden leaf village of Konoha, will you aid me, Temari of the Case Cage clan, Kunoichi of the hidden sand village of Suna, in changing the shinobi world?" The greatest living strategic mind of Konoha did a careful analysis and quickly realized that everything was lost. Outside help wasn't going to arrive and he was completely trapped with no possible route of escape in sight. His only option was to surrender. Willingly and unconditionally. "Yes," he simply said. "She lies in front of the man who took everything from her. The same man who took her sister's eyes. The same man who is about to cause the moon to crash into the earth. The same man who killed the man she loved. She was once a human being. She once loved, she once moved, she once reacted. Now, she is nothing but a puppet. She belongs to him, her will is not her own. If she could react, she would have screamed, she would have punched, she would have clawed his eyes out of his eye sockets. But her will is not her own. Come to me, my Hinata." He calls her, my Hinata, as if she is nothing but a prize. Nothing but an object. "Show yourself to me." Her mind is screaming for her to stop, to resist his orders. But her will is not her own. Not anymore. She slowly undresses herself in front of him, unzipping the top of her mission gear. "Beautiful. My Hinata is so beautiful." He reaches his hand out and softly caresses her bosom. When she was touched by the man she loved, even if it was just a simple handshake, she felt so incredible. It sent bolts down her spine and made her hair stand on end. It felt wonderful, it felt exhilarating. This man's touch makes her nauseous. She can't stand the mere thought of being near him, and now he is touching her in a place that no other man has ever touched her before. Not even the man she loved. She wants to scream, she wants to cry. But she can't. Right now she is nothing but a puppet. "No, stay away." Hinata screamed as she lurched up from her bed covered in cold sweat. Where was she? She quickly surveyed her surroundings and was relieved to find out that she was still within the Hyuga compound. She lied back on the bed, relieved that it was all a dream. She dashed inside the bathroom, took her clothes off, and stepped in the shower. She had to clean herself. How long has it been since the moon mission? A month? A month and a half? Hinata couldn't tell. Her mind was not lucid. She scrubbed herself as hard as she could, until her normally porcelain white skin turned red. She didn't know why, she couldn't understand why, but she felt like every inch of her body was sullied. At first the joy and elation of having her love requited, of finally getting together with Naruto, was enough to keep her mind at ease. But when he went on a mission and she had to stay away from him for about 2 weeks, that painful memory hit her again, of her lying down in the darkness. Knowing that she had failed her mission. Knowing that the world, everything and everyone she cared about, would be destroyed because she failed. Knowing that the man she loved died heartbroken, thinking she had betrayed him. Knowing that she would soon become nothing more than an object, no better than the rest of the puppets that took care of Toneri's castle. Knowing that she would soon make her body his and that she would have no other choice but to obey him. She didn't know at the time that Naruto was alive, that he had forgiven her and that he was coming for her. All she knew was that she had failed, that everything was lost and that her body no longer belonged to her. She had become Toneri's puppet. For a time, her body belonged to him. Her will was violated and she was forced to obey his every command, his every whim. She didn't know what he did to her while she was under the influence of the puppet jutsu. She was completely in the dark while he held the reins. She didn't remember anything that happened from the time that he took control of her to the time that she woke up in Naruto's arms. And that made things worse, because her own mind was beginning to fill in the blanks, and it was coming up with some pretty nasty stuff. She knew that at some point her mission gear was removed and replaced with a black wedding dress, but she had no idea how it happened. She had no idea if it was Toneri himself or his puppets that undressed her and put it on her. All she remembered was waking up in it right after the jutsu was dispelled. She scrubbed herself even harder. Her skin had started to turn raw. She had nearly forgiven that man. She had even invited him to come back to Earth with them. Oh God, she felt like throwing up. She dashed inside the toilet, quickly opened the lid and retched inside. She was feeling physically sick. Damn, she told herself. This was the 5th time so far. This was getting seriously out of hand. She stood up, looked in the mirror and splashed some water on her face to wake herself up and wash off the leftover bile that was beginning to crust on her lips. She brushed her teeth and started making herself presentable again. Naruto came back from his mission yesterday. She had a date with him to look forward to. Yeah, this would make everything go away. She had been looking forward to this for the past 2 weeks. This would be their second date, ever since their first one at Ichiraku's. Naruto would take her to see a visiting performance troupe from Suna. They had set up stage in one of Konoha's parks and would only stay there for 3 days before moving to Kiri and then Iwa. It was the first time Naruto would see something like this, and Hinata could see that he was really excited. Naruto bought a candy apple for Hinata while he bought her floss candy. It was the first time he had eaten something like this. This tastes like raw sugar? Well, it only contains raw sugar, so that is to be expected. Hey Hinata, watch this. He took some of the floss candy and stuck it around his cheeks in order to make it look like a beard. The proper way to master kung fu is to drink tea, kick ass, and eat your vegetables. Hinata couldn't help but laugh. That's, haha, the worst kung fu master impersonation I have ever seen. Naruto couldn't help but pout. Really? Really? She then bent towards him, ate the floss candy from his cheeks, giving him a kiss in the process. I loved it. Hey, cried Naruto mockingly. That's my floss candy. Give it back. He then hugged her and licked some of the candy from her lips. Naruto, we're in public, so? Hinata smiled and took her boyfriend's hand once more. They went inside the stage and sat down in order to enjoy the performance. Naruto was giddy all throughout the show. Hinata delighted in watching him smile and jump up and down his seat. She had to keep holding him in order to prevent him from falling down, he was that excited. Yes, she thought, this is exactly what she needed right now. Oh, the star attraction of the show is about to start. What is it? It's a former student of Kankuro's. He is doing an entire act where he handles a multitude of puppets. The word just echoed inside her mind, catching her completely by surprise. Puppets, puppet, look at how he controls them. Look Hinata. Wow. Images started flooding Hinata's head. Her breathing became shallow, her heart started beating faster, her chest was hurting, she was beginning to panic. Her will is not her own, her body now fully belongs to him. She was once a woman, but now she is nothing but a puppet. Look at that chakra string technique, Hinata. He moves them around like a boss. She wants to resist his orders, she wants to fight back, but she can't. She has no choice but to obey his orders. Hinata? Against her will, her hands move on their own and remove to top her mission gear. She is now standing in front of him completely topless. Hinata? What's wrong? She moves closer to him. She can feel his breath on her chest. She wants to run away as far as she can, but she can't. Her body now belongs to him. Hinata, talk to me. He can feel his hands touching her in places she never let another man touch before, not even the man she loved. The man he killed. Hinata, please, snap out of it. His touch makes her feel disgusted, both at him and herself. She wants to just scream. No, stop, don't touch me. Keep your damned hands off of me. Naruto just stood there shocked at Hinata's outburst. What the hell was going on? Just a few minutes ago they were having the time of their lives and now she doesn't want to be near him? What did he do wrong? He tried to place his hands around her to comfort her with a hug. She just snatched them away and pushed him back. I need to go. Hinata, please wait. She ran outside the troupe stage and dashed towards the compound as fast as she could. She didn't want him to see her like this. She didn't want him to see her in tears. She didn't want him to see her break down. She had hurt him again. She didn't mean to do it, but she did. His face when she shouted at him and pushed him back was the same as that time when she was forced to deny his love, when he nearly lost his life. Completely full of despair and broken. Just like her, Naruto knocked on the door of the Hyuga compound to find Hanabi glaring down at him. She was not pleased to see him. What the hell are you doing here? I am looking for Hinata. Can I please talk to her? He saw Hanabi's veins bulge as she activated her Byakugan. My sister went on a date with you, and now she is in tears. What did you do to her? That's the thing. I don't know. Please, let me talk to her. Hanabi's fist glowed blue with chakra as she took a fighting stance. Hinata told me that she doesn't want to see you right now. Whatever it is you did to her, and believe me I will find out, hurt her badly. So, if you don't want to die here, I suggest you go away. Now, Naruto took a step back and turned around. Wise move. Just be thankful it wasn't my father who saw Hinata like this. He is not quite as charitable as me. He started heading home with a heavy heart, wondering where it all went south. Hey, sis. Hey, Hanabi. Naruto came to see you. I told him you didn't want to see him right now. Thank you. Among other things. Among other things? Hanabi put her arms around Hinata and squeezed in an effort to make her sister feel better. I don't care if he is the hero of the 4 nations. Nobody hurts my sister. It wasn't his fault, Hanabi. Huh? I was just watching a show with him and I suddenly panicked. Why? Hinata struggled to talk. She needed to speak to someone. To tell somebody what she was going through. But Hanabi was just a kid. She didn't need to find out how her will was taken away from her. She didn't need to know how her body could have been touched against her will. She was only 14 years old. It doesn't have to do with Naruto. Do you want to talk about it? It's nothing you need to concern yourself about. Sis, please, talk to me. What's going on? I said it's nothing you need to concern yourself about. So please just leave me alone. Hanabi looked hurt as she got out of her sister's room. She nodded, took a quart bow and closed the sliding door to Hinata's room. I am here if you want to talk, sis. She said sadly, and then she was gone. Hinata lied on the bed and started crying. Not only had she hurt Naruto, she hurt her little sister too. She felt truly and utterly horrible. The mind is funny thing. You think that you have full control of yourself, of how you think, of how you react, of how your memories are stored. But your mind has a mind of its own. It chooses how to absorb your environment, how to make sense of things. It gives you ideas, it calibrates your reactions. Ultimately, you are not in control of your mind is in control of you. And when emotional and personal trauma are involved, it can come up with horrors that makes the cruelest reality seem like a fairy tale. She hears the sound of a gong in the distance. She walks into the altar dressed in a black wedding dress. The wedding ceremony is about to begin. She can hear the sound of war in the distance. Somebody is outside trying to infiltrate the fortress. Could he still be alive? She wants to run, she wants to join them, she wants to fight by their side. But she can't. Right now she is nothing more than a puppet. Her will is not her own. She takes his hand and walks her to the altar. She doesn't want him near her. She doesn't want him touching her. But her will is not her own. She stands before the altar where a puppet priest starts deciphering the words of the ceremony in a language that is too old for her to understand. She sees the man who destroyed everything. The man who took her sister's eyes, put a wafer on his mouth and moved downwards for her to eat it and give him a kiss. She doesn't want to marry him. She doesn't want to kiss him. What do you think you are doing to Hinata? His voice makes her heart flutter and fills her with hope and joy. He is still alive. You again? Give Hinata back. You want her back? Fine, you can have her. She runs towards him and she is thrilled to have him close to her again, to see the light in his eyes once more. She wants to wrap her hands around him and tell him how sorry she was for rejecting him. That she has always loved him and will always love him until the end of time. She wants to give him a kiss and take away the pain that she has given him the past few days. But she doesn't. Her will is no longer her own. She throws a punch at him and he barely blocks it. She follows it with a roundhouse kick that her barely dodges. What's wrong with you, Hinata? She doesn't want to hurt him. She doesn't want to attack him. But she is not in control of herself now. She is nothing but a puppet. What do you think of my wife's combat skills? She looks into his eyes when that man says the word, wife. There is a deep pain inside them as he is reminded of her betrayal once more. She wants to comfort him, to soothe him, to take that pain away. Instead, she keeps attacking. She keeps punching, she keeps kicking. She keeps hurting. Please, fight back. Her mind screams at her, please. Stop me. But he doesn't. He loves her too much to even lay a hand on her. And this ends up hurting her more. Her attacks start to connect. He doesn't block anymore. He doesn't dodge anymore. His face becomes bloodied and bruised. He is not reacting. He just stands there and takes it. She can feel his blood soaking through her gloves. She can see the light in his eyes slowly fade. He is in pain, and this is killing her. Now, my Hinata, finish this. She puts her arms around his neck and twists. She hears a sickening crack as the man she loves keels down and falls. She sees the light in his eyes snuffed out. She can feel his precious life slip through her fingers as he starts to choke on his own blood. She killed him, the man she loved, with her own hands. She killed him. Hinata belongs to me now. She leaves his body on the floor and starts to walk towards the man who controls her. The man who took everything from her. Even her will. Now, where were we? He puts the wafer on his mouth once more. She wants to cry, she wants to scream. Instead, she opens her own mouth accepting his kiss. There is nobody to stop him now. As their lips connect, and their marriage is finalized, her eyes turn to look at the dead body of the man she loved. The man she murdered, both emotionally and physically. Naruto heard a knock on the door. He got up from his bed half asleep. Who could it be this late at night? He opened up his door and saw a familiar female figure in front of him. Hinata, what are you? She jumped on his arms and connected her lips to his. Her kiss was desperate and aggressive. She had to make sure that he was still here, that he was still alive. She had to make sure he still loved her after what she did to him. Her hands moved under his shirt all over her body. Her mouth moved from his mouth to his whiskers, then to his neck. She wanted to feel him. She wanted to take all of him in. A part of Naruto wanted this to go on. A part of him wanted Hinata to go further. But Hinata was not herself right now. And Naruto knew that if things did go further, if he took advantage of her like this, he would regret it for the rest of his life. Hinata, stop. She wasn't listening. She kept kissing, she kept rubbing her body against him. It was time for him to take drastic measures. He pushed her back and shook her. Hinata, I said stop. Hinata looked at him with a pleading look in her eyes. Naruto-kun, what's wrong with you, Hinata? Please, help me? He placed his arms around her and she collapsed into his arms. Tears and snot flowed gracelessly from her face. She buried her face inside his chest, placing her ears on his chest. His heart was beating. His precious, wonderful heart was still beating. He was okay. He was alive. She felt him planting soft kisses and caressing her hair. Her out-of-bed, messy hair. He still cared for her. He still loved her. She takes a whiff inside his chest, absorbing his smell. His natural smell. It becomes her air, her oxygen. It feels so intoxicating, so soothing. She could smell him forever. What's wrong, Hinata? He heard him say softly. Talk to me. I was a puppet, Naruto-kun. I was a puppet and I killed you. Naruto looked at her puzzled. What? When I went into Toneri's castle, I tried to destroy the Tensegan but Toneri caught me and placed some kind of green orb inside me. I lost consciousness a little while after that. I don't remember what happened afterwards. All I know is that I woke up in your arms wearing a black wedding dress. Hinata, I keep having those weird dreams. I dream of being a puppet and doing his bidding against my will. I dream of him undressing me and touching me. They make me feel sick. And just a few hours ago, I dreamt I fought you and that I killed you. This actually happened. What? You actually fought me? Hinata gulped in shock. She was hoping this didn't actually happen. So, I really fought you. She squeezed him tighter and he held her closer. You didn't get to kill me though. I think I would have remembered that. Hinata took a breath as she rubbed her cheek on his chest, finding comfort in his warmth. She desperately needed it right now. That's the thing, Naruto-kun. I don't remember what happened. And because I don't remember, my mind plays tricks on me. I keep seeing dreams of what I think happened while I was under the jutsu's influence. Naruto gently rocked Hinata in his arms. He wanted to offer her comfort, to heal her pain, to lift her spirits. The same way she always did when he needed her. But how could he help? He wasn't much good with words, and he really didn't know how he could possibly make her feel better. He felt so useless. There was nothing he could do for her. But somebody else could. An idea formed on his head. Hinata, if you actually knew what happened, would it actually help? Hinata thought about this and replied, yes, because then I would be able to deal with it and move on. As things stand, I can't tell what's real and what's not, and it's driving me crazy. Naruto nodded in understanding. He knew exactly what to do now. Hinata, please stand back. Naruto, what are you going to? She saw him go into a corner, move into a meditative position and close his eyes. He soon started glowing with yellowish-red chakra. His whiskers became wider and his teeth grew sharper. The air around her became more dense as she felt the power flowing inside him. When he opened his eyes again, she knew that she was no longer looking at Naruto. The brat told me that you need my help? The voice was deep and booming. It had an air of authority and power to it, but she felt no malice and no ill intent from it. Kurama, I have once seen you briefly on the moon. The brat seemed to be getting very attached to you. I was actually looking forward to finally meet you one of these days. Why? As Biju or empaths, our host's emotional state affects us directly. And things are more pleasant for me, ever since you became a bigger part in Naruto's life. Hinata couldn't help but smile at Kurama's statement. Really? Really? You mean more to my host than anybody else? You are truly irreplaceable to him. Kurama reminded himself that he was here to do a job, not make small talk. The brat told me that you had a lapse in memory? Yes, Hinata said as she nodded at the creature. A jutsu was placed on me, and I can't remember what happened from the moment it was placed on me, to the moment it was dispelled. Can you make me remember? Kurama in Naruto's body nodded. If it's because of a jutsu, then, yes, I can. How? You are going to place your palms on mine, and my chakra will flow inside you. I will then find any traces of the jutsu that was placed on you and cleanse it, restoring any memories that were repressed by it in the process. You and me will then witness those memories directly. Hinata kneeled before Kurama and placed her palms on top of Naruto's own. Please do it. Are you sure? Recovering repressed memories can be dangerous. You might not like what you find in them. It's worse not remembering and making things up. As you wish. A sudden concern crossed Hinata's. Kurama-kun, before we start, can I ask something? Kurama was surprised by the sudden addition of the honorific to his name. He had to admit he quite liked it though. What is it, Byakugan princess? Hinata smiled at the name Kurama had given her. Kurama felt a sudden warmth and understood why Naruto cherished this woman more than anything else. Just Hinata will do. You and Naruto-kun are connected, right? Yes, so? If you see my memories, will he also see them? Kurama shook his head. I am now a completely separate entity than my host. He won't be able to see your memories unless I decide to show them to him. Will you show him? A big grin formed on Kurama's face. No matter how much he begs me, I won't. Hinata smiled in relief as she held Naruto's hands tighter. Thank you. Reddish chakra flowed inside her as Kurama began the restoration process. For a while chakra flowed and nothing happened. Hinata started feeling at ease. And then her mind exploded. She stands on display right next to a couple of puppets. She is now one of them. The man who took everything from her has just finished his tea and looks at her in delight. You are finally mine, Hinata. You will never betray me again. He lifts her down from the display and places her right in front of him. You belong to me now. My Hinata. She is nothing but an object now. Nothing but a puppet. That's what he really wanted after all, a puppet. Now, show yourself to me. Her hands slowly move the zipper of her mission gear jacket downwards. It stands there dangling as her hands move to remove it. No, he commands. Let me do it. She moves towards him mechanically. Her will is no longer her own. She can't resist him, she can't fight back. She stands right in front of him. His hands move closer, and then his eyes notice a big scar on her lower abdomen. What the hell is this? His hand glows green as an orb morphs on his hands. He places it near the scar, and a series of images appear before him. He sees the man he saw inside her memories before, at a much younger age, impaled to the ground by an unknown man in a black uniform with red clouds. He sees his precious future wife jump inside the fray, throwing a big punch that the unknown man barely dodges. He then sees her stand in front of the unknown man ready to fight. "I am not afraid to die here," he hears her say, "if it means I can protect you. Because I love you, I always will." He doesn't finish the rest of the memory. He crashes the orb in his hand and screams in anger. "You did this for him?" She just stands there silently, not responding. She is nothing but a puppet now. He throws his tea table on the other side of the room. He begins smashing doors, breaking vases, reacting like a spoiled kid who just got his big prize taken away. She keeps standing there impassionately. "My Hinata is tainted." One of the puppets intervenes. "Toneri-sama, calm down. We will be able to remove the scar once the two of you enter the hibernation chamber, and your bodies enter the restoration process." "Arrange to do so," he says as he begins to leave the room in disgust. "Start preparing her for our marriage, and don't let me see her until the ceremony begins." "As you wish, Toneri-sama. I want Hinata to belong to me, and only me." The door closed and the puppets take her away to wash her and dress her up. Once she is ready, she stays in the dark until a gong is heard and she begins walking a long hallway. Her marriage is about to begin. The man she loves shows up and interrupts the ceremony. She is ordered to fight him, and the man she loves sets her free. Hinata opened her eyes to see Kurama sport a big smile on her face. "So, it was you back then, who nearly set me free. The one whose loss nearly broke my chains." Hinata didn't respond. Instead, she moved her hand downwards and touched her scar. The sacrifice she had made for him on that day had protected her. It had shielded her from a truly terrible fate. She rubbed her scar affectionately, as if it was a living being, as if she wanted to thank it. "I guess there's nothing more I can do for you right now. I will give control back to the brat now." "Thank you, Kurama-kun," she said as she hugged the fox inside her boyfriend's body. "Thanks to you, I can finally be at peace." "You are more than welcome," the fox replied. "Farewell, Byakugan princess." She gave the fox a soft kiss on its whiskers and smiled warmly. "I told you to just call me Hinata." Then and there, Kurama decided that it quite liked the little woman and that it would do anything in its power to protect her. Naruto's eyes turned blue once more. "Did he touch you?" was the first thing that he asked. "Who, Kurama or Toneri?" Naruto was caught off guard by her question. Both I guess." Kurama-kun was a perfect gentleman heir, gentle fox, gentle something. And as for Toneri, she thought how she would phrase this. She didn't want Naruto to find out about her scar. At least, not before they actually got intimate. "He didn't do anything more objectionable to me. So I don't have to get Kurama to fly me on the moon so that I can kick his ass?" Hinata chuckled. "Can Kurama-kun actually do that? Well, I'll probably get an earful from him if I ask him that. And, hey, wait a second, Kurama-kun. Since when did you two become so chummy?" She slipped inside his arms once more and gave him a soft smile, easing his worries. "You foxy friend is a real sweetheart." "Really, Kurama?" The two stayed in a warm embrace, cherishing the time they were spending with each other. It had been an emotionally draining day and all they wanted right now was to just relax and find comfort in each other. Hinata decided to finally open up fully. To trust him with her pain, the same way he has always trusted her with his. "I was conscious for a while." "What did you say, Hinata?" "I said that from the time Toneri put his jutsu inside me until the moment when everything went dark and he took over my body, I was conscious." "You were? I didn't know you were going to save me back then. I didn't even know if you were alive. All I knew was that the world was about to end because I had failed. And that my body would soon belong to the man who had taken away my sister's eyes. The man who destroyed everything I cared about. The man who almost killed you." Naruto held her tighter. Up until now, he had never considered the pain Hinata must have gone through, how she must have suffered. "And I wanted to weep, I wanted to scream, I wanted to throw up but I couldn't. I was becoming a puppet and I knew full well what was going to happen to me afterwards. What he would do to me. And it absolutely horrified me." Her tears were soaking through his pajamas, but he didn't care. Right now Hinata needed to cry, to finally let her pain out. "But the most painful part was knowing that I had hurt you. It was believing that you had died, thinking that I had betrayed you. That my heart now belonged to someone else. That I had stopped loving you." She looked at him once more. "I'm sorry, Naruto-kun. I never stopped loving you. I never wanted to hurt you. She felt his lips on her once more. Her face was full of snot and tears, but he didn't care. He wanted nothing more than to comfort her. "Hinata, I told you back then too. I am the one who should apologize. Naruto-kun, I was so happy that we finally became a couple. I was having such a wonderful time being with you, that it didn't occur to me how much that mission must have hurt you, how it must have been eating you up inside. Some boyfriend I am, huh?" Hinata kissed him back and rested her face on her chest once more. "You are doing fine, Naruto-kun. I should have spoken to you about this sooner." They both remained silent, enjoying each other's presence. "Are you sure you don't want me to go up on the moon and kick Toneri's ass again?" "That won't be necessary," chortled Hinata. "Would you like me to escort you home? It's late and your family will worry when they open up your room in the morning and don't find you there." "Sure, just, not now. Let's just stay like this for a little longer." They both closed their eyes and fell asleep shortly afterwards. Hinata didn't go back to the compound that night. The pain of the moon mission would be something that would take time to heal, but at least now, she knew that she had Naruto with her. That he understood her and that she could trust him with her pain the same way he always trusted her with his. With Naruto by her side, Hinata felt like she could overcome anything. Next morning at the Hyuga compound, Hanabi was busy setting up a transformed shadow clone inside Hinata's bed. "Remember, if anybody asks you, it's that time of the month, and you need to lie in bed because you are feeling a bit under the weather, you got that?" The transformed shadow clone did a thumbs up sign. "You owe me big time for this, sis." Side story. The scar she wouldn't heal. 3 years ago, Hinata was lying inside a futon with Sakura standing on top of her. Her hands were glowing with chakra as she was healing the injuries she had sustained during the pain invasion. It moved inside Hinata's body, healing the damaged internal tissue and preventing any internal hemorrhaging she might have sustained. Pain missed her vital organs by a few inches, she lamented. If the stab wound was just a little bit higher, she would be. She smiled at the lavender-eyed girl, who softly smiled back. In the end, when push came to shove, she was the only one who came to Naruto's aid, the only one who rushed to his side when it seemed that he had lost, when he was about to be taken away. "I should have been the one who should have been by his side. I am supposed to be his freaking teammate. I was treating Tsunade at the time, of course, but still." Her hands moved upwards, just a few inches above her skin. "All right, I am done fixing your internal injuries. I am now going to heal your scar tissue so that it won't show." "Sakura?" she asked her with a raspy voice. "Can I ask you something weird?" "What? The scar? Could you please leave it on me?" Sakura looked at her in disbelief. "Why would you actually want to keep a scar? Especially one as big as this one?" Hinata took the pink-haired Kunoichi's hand and squeezed it. "Please, I want that scar to stay with me for as long as I live. You won't be able to wear a bikini again, you know. I prefer to wear one pieces anyway." Sakura sighed and got up. If Hinata didn't want her to do the extra work and heal the scar tissue, she wasn't going to insist. She exited the room and gestured to Neji that he could see Hinata now. He went inside her room, sat beside her futon and held her hand. "How are you feeling, Hinata-sama?" "I am feeling a lot better, Neji-Nisan. My wounds are healing nicely. I am going to return to the field in about a week or so." Neji looked concerned. "You know, I couldn't help but overhear your conversation with Sakura. Why are you letting that scar on you? Why don't you just let the medics heal it? I told him I love him." "Neji." Hinata's words boomed like a bomb inside his head. "You did what?" "I told him I loved him. I don't know if he understands what sort of love I have for him, and I don't know if he will ever be able to love me back the way I love him, but I finally told him." "And that's the reason you want to keep that scar?" She put her free hand on her chest and squeezed her blanket. "I used my body to protect him. I gave myself to him, Neji-Nisan. And I want his mark to stay on me for as long as live." Neji didn't say anything, instead opting to accept her choice and nod his head. "So, she loves him. She doesn't just like him. She doesn't just admire him. She loves him. She is willing to put her life on the line to protect him. She is willing to die for him. Even though she thinks that he doesn't feel the same way. Even though she thinks he doesn't care about her. But he does. He cares for her more than she realizes." Neji had read the invasion files a few days ago. He had learned that, right after Hinata was injured, Naruto lost control of the Kyuubi. Hinata affected him emotionally to the point where seeing her get hurt made him nearly fully unleash the demon fox and destroy everything. So, she is willing to die for him, and he is willing to give up on everything and destroy himself if anything happens to her. Both of them want to protect the other, and one cannot bear to live without the other. As Shikamaru would say, this is a very troublesome situation. At that moment, Neji made a silent vow. If at any point any of them was in danger, he would do everything in his power to protect them, even at the cost of his own life. Naruto was the one who freed him from the chains of fate. Hinata was his precious family. He wouldn't allow either of them to die.
That's all for now. If you enjoy this video, then please like, share and do comments.